Clear Skies is now live. Hailing Frequencies is open, and I hope everyone just heard all the profanity that Sam was shouting at me before we went live, because
I didn't say a single profanity.
It was magical. It was absolutely magical. Hello, everybody. Welcome. Hailing Frequencies are open. We are live here with our half-hour cast for Clear Skies tonight. Tonight's a very special episode. We're doing the Nimbus 3 mission story arc, and then next week, if everything goes smoothly with this group, next week we should be back to seeing what's going on back in the Shackleton Expanse. But we'll get to the recap here in a minute. Before we begin tonight's episode, does anybody have any announcements that they'd like to make before we jump in to tonight's episode?
I do.
Yeah? Tell us. What do you got?
Yeah. So I believe if you checked Twitter today, it was announced that Eddie Doty will be running a game of Phoenix Dawn Command, and I'm going to be part of the cast, and it's going to be freaking amazing because I will be going full feral in that game, y'all. Very excited in general. And it's going to be here on QueueTimes, so you can check us out here. And I believe the start date is September 15th, if I'm not wrong.
And in that cast.
That's right around there. And it's, oh man, the cast, I want to make sure I don't forget anyone. So I'm going to pull up my list. But I know it's Aliza, I know it's Abria, it's Aaron Stanley, and it's me. So there's only 4 of us, but I was like, oh no, don't ask me a question about the game, Eric.
That's a fun chat.
4 lovely ladies, and I'm just really excited to, get our spook on, but then also get like our warrior on. And I think that if you haven't played Phoenix Dawn Command, it's like this wonderful like deck building game, and I think that Eddie has like such great like story behind it, and so I think it's gonna be a blast, and so you should tune in. Come check it out.
As a quick reminder for those of you who don't know the name Eddie Doty, he is a good personal friend of everybody's. Ed Doty was one of our leaders over at Geek and Sundry back in the day. If you liked the show Vast, you can thank Eddie Doty for that one.
So
Eddie Doty was also responsible for helping me launch Shield of Tomorrow. He's an old salt, and we love him dearly, and we're excited that he's finally running a game for us. Plus, Ed Doty is former military, so I am excited to see what he does with Phoenix Dawn Command, which is
right. It's definitely a game about war. It's gonna be. He has things to say, and I'm very excited. Platform to say it, so it'll be great.
All right, and that's September 14th. You said 15th. Okay, cool.
That's the Tuesday, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Are there any other announcements? Yes, Bonnie. Of course
This past Saturday, I guested on Dungeons and Things, our dear old friends over at Dungeons and Things. They do a Starfinder game on Saturday nights, and they just premiered their season 2 premiere episode, and I was a guest on that, and it looks like I'm guesting again, and for who knows how long, because my character just apparently got stuck with them. So
if you can have a Bonnie, get a Bonnie. That's kind of the philosophy. That's kind of the way that goes.
I play an android named Model 392 who has a memory wipe, who does not recall how to play the system or the game or anything about the world, which is why I've never played Starfinder.
Yeah, I can, Bonnie, your voice, I can totally see you being the next Trisha Helfer who just like constantly voices AI and cybernetics all the time. Ever since she was in BSG, like she is a machine ever since then.
Thank you for your compliment.
Yeah. The only announcement that I have is to wish everyone who is a fan of this incredible science fiction story that we adore so much, Star Trek. Tomorrow is Star Trek Day. The very first episode of Star Trek aired tomorrow. It'll have been 54 years, I think. I believe that's correct, 54 years. But tomorrow is Star Trek Day. So definitely give a shout out to your fellow Trekkers and Trekkies. We could spend a good 15 minutes just talking about how much we love Star Trek and how much it's done for our lives, and it still wouldn't cover it. But just wanted to wish everybody out there, if we don't get the chance to see you tomorrow, of course, online at any point, happy Star Trek Day, y'all. If I could recommend a couple of Star Trek sites, just real quick off the bat, if you are a fan of Star Trek Adventures, I highly recommend continuingmission.com. If you're interested in learning the intricacies of Star Trek adventures, I highly recommend the Complex Games Apologist on YouTube, who does some excellent explanations of the rules and has helped me understand extended tasks. Thanks, dude. And if you want some good lovin' on Facebook, I recommend Star Trek Shitposting, which is a never-ending fountain of pure genius. Followed by Square Trek, which you can find on Tumblr and mostly on Twitter. And then, of course, all the cast members. As also a quick note, oh, damn, I didn't think to look this up. But just so you guys know, the actors from Star Trek Voyager, Garrett Wang and do you know what I'm talking about?
Are you talking about the podcast that Tom Paris?
Yeah, the Delta Flyers.
Yeah, they watch every episode and talk about Star Trek.
Highly recommended to any Star Trek fans out there. Garrett Wang and Robert McNeil have their own podcast called The Delta Flyers. There's already been some beautiful moments. It's a really great podcast. The last podcast I just want to give a big shout out to, of course, is our very own Below Decks podcast that was started way back in Shield of Tomorrow and is still going today. You can support those guys, and they always do great recaps. So if you haven't caught up with Clear Skies and you want a quick catch up and you want to know what the hell's happened and hear some interesting commentary, highly recommend their podcast. It's a lot of fun.
Also, look up To Boldly Watch. It's a podcast with Jake Michaels and Becca Scott.
Right,
and,
yeah. Oh, yeah. Xander's been doing stuff
and they're basically watching every TNG episode. And I just recently guested on it because of course they did a Data episode where he plays Sherlock Holmes, and I was like, "Hi, guess who's an expert?"
Of course.
Nothing,
also,
but I'm gonna guest anyway.
if you get a chance on Twitter, look up Women at Warp. Highly recommended. Also a great resource and doing some really rad stuff. Eliza's been involved with that. Highly recommended. That's all I got. So I think, unless there's any other announcements, yes, Sam DeLev.
Yes. I actually have real announcements. So,
what?
Assuming that everything goes within the parameters of according to plan-ish, I won't be here next week if we're doing this half and half swap. So I can say, I can announce this week, I am going to be on D&D Celebration on September 18th. That's the Friday at 2 p.m. PDT. We will be playing A Darkened Wish, which is based on the comic canon D&D series written by B. Dave Walters, our GM, and drawn by Tess Fowler, where I play Aiden, the absolutely charming, swashbuckling young man. We've had a ton of fun through season 2, and now we're doing a live show. I'm very excited, and you can come watch. But as for tonight, we do not go to fantasy. No, we go to space. Eric has been hyping it. I have concerns, but I also have excitement.
With that, let's begin tonight's episode of Clear Skies. Welcome back to Clear Skies, everybody. Let's go ahead and jump into tonight's game where we last left off. We had a crew divided. We had some of the command staff dispatched on a shuttlecraft all the way across the galaxy. Now, for those of you who don't know, the destination was Nimbus 3, a very notorious world that was originally set up to be a diplomatic hub for the United Federation of Planets, the Romulan Star Empire, and the Klingon Empire. It has long since fallen into complete disarray, and at one point was even a hub for the Orion Crime Syndicate to the galactic north. But as it stands right now, it is essentially a cesspool. It is a poverty-ridden crime pit in the middle of the neutral zone between Romulan and Federation space. And the only reason that they've been dragged out this far, which, by the way, puts them on the other side of the Romulan Star border. They are on the opposite end of the Romulan Star Empire from Narendra Station, and their family currently on board the USS Ross. As they conduct a mission here on Nimbus 3 to try to locate perhaps an entryway into the Romulan Star Empire that would be a little less noticeable than, say, a Federation starship, they have stumbled across something even better. With a caveat, they've stumbled across what they are looking for right here on Nimbus 3. The implant to a Romulan Tal Shiar. However, it is still currently embedded in the brain of a Romulan loyalist. It's unknown whether this Romulan is still alive or not, but they have revealed that this crime lord, Etiva, has revealed to them has revealed to them that she has this Romulan body in captivity and is willing to discuss terms. Meanwhile, on the other side of the galaxy, the USS Ross, staging a rescue operation once again of Particle Fountain Observer Station for the Dashashian people, has found itself cornered and up against the wall, conducting rescue operations while there is a cloaked Romulan modified Tavaro-class warbird out there that can fire while cloaked under the command of the infamous Admiral Mindak, who has been relentlessly hunting the USS Ross in his obsessive search for Sorex, the defector of the Tal Shiar, who apparently is on board, who he apparently knows is on board, only he's not on board. He's across the freaking galaxy on Nimbus 3 right now. We'll be catching up with the crew of the USS Ross next week, if all goes according to plan. But tonight, we start our episode off with Sorex flanked by his entourage, the captain, Mackrell, Lacat, Prawl, and a very large Gorn, Slabaz. Y'all are currently standing in a small underground space, a bunker, which looks like it is filled from floor to ceiling with canisters, cargo crates with security code lock clearances all over them, torpedo tubes that look like they've been emptied out, warheads removed, and maybe coffins. A confirmation of the fact that when you have all entered here, the Andorian crime lord who led you down here, Etiva, has revealed that in fact one of these crates does in fact have a body. She has opened it up and revealed that there is a Romulan loyalist inside. It's impossible to tell if he's alive or dead. He's wearing the full regalia of a Romulan Imperial officer of the Navy. He's very pale, not looking healthy, and unconscious. And right now, Sorex, who is currently the point man on everything, is staring at him with eyes widened in surprise. Etiva is leaning up against this Andorian woman who has a curious cloak over her head that only allows to show a little bit of her antenna coming out the top with white hair spilling out the side. A unique little cloak that actually fills the immediate space in front of her with cool air, and you can see these wisps of cool air kind of trailing out from underneath the hood in this blasted hot temperatured world that is essentially a desert ball in the middle of space. Andorians, as you know, don't require cold air to move around. It's just something they enjoy. And she is either enjoying that or the look on Sorex's face with a big white grin that spreads across her blue lips as she stares at all of you, reacting to the revelation that there is this Romulan in this tube. And with that, she says, "We can make a deal." since I seem to have what you're looking for.
Obviously, Dr. McCurl has no pockets for a medical tricorder. Would she be able to just by looking at this Romulan to assess his health? Can I make a medical check, basically?
You could, but I'm warning you, if you pull out your tricorder, you might
I don't
give
have
yourself
one.
away. What's that?
I'm wearing a slinky dress I don't have a tricorder. I
What
was
would
going to
you-
use my medical expertise to kind of assess to see if he's alive. Like just
From here, just visually looking at him, it's impossible to tell.
Okay.
He might be in a coma. He might be in stasis. He might be dead.
I wouldn't pull out a tricorder and blow a cover. Come on.
Right. So, Sol, as Vel just sort of leans over it, kicks their leg up a little. Is he dead?
I'm going to try and follow the captain and put my leg up on it. On the thing
Okay.
too. And be like, is he dead?
One of the bodyguards does take notice of that. Slabaz glances over and might be actually glancing at the two of you for a moment.
Oh, I was like to kick the
Slightly
leg up like
distracted.
back, like, the knee.
Uh-huh.
Not
Jane looks to Relix for a second and then to Prawl and sees if any of them are going to be saying anything. And if not, she's just going to ask.
Yeah, Prawl is actually two things. You get the impression that Sorex is about to speak, but you also get the impression that Prawl, Prawl, the cat, judging by the widening of his stance, he looks like he's ready to quick draw if he needs to.
Great.
He's being very still and non-threatening. He is of course shrouded, covered in a hood with the glasses on and everything and the wrap around his face. He looks very intimidating in this place. No one seems to be particularly agitated by him though, but Prawl is ready to pull a weapon if he needs to.
Okay, great. So I think that Jane is going to just mentally put herself in the same space of I'm gonna need to draw if I need to draw. But if she sees Sorex is ready to talk, she's gonna wait to hear what she says before she asks the obvious.
Sorex, keying off of his companion on his arm and reading the room, says, "My pet here makes a very good point. Is he dead?" And the Andorian puts her hands up and she says, "Yes, I don't deal in living Romulans, not unless I have to." And she smiles at him kind of knowingly. But then she immediately enters a code and you see this thing goes... "Unfortunately, I have to keep him in stasis. As you well know, the implant in the back of his head will cause significant degeneration and destruction of the body if it's allowed to persist during a dead-like state. A way of protecting the information that might be held within. There is someone who might be able to help you, though. And we might be able to make a deal here. If you're willing to listen. But before I make this pitch to you, I'm going to need some honesty." And she leans very disrespectfully against this coffin and just says, "Sorex, I've trusted you for a while now. I let you and your companions in here. One of them I know quite well as rather well armed," and she nods to the Gorn, who glances away from the Cation just for a second and just looks back in the direction of everybody else. She says, "If I make a deal with you to give you this implant, am I going to have to look over my shoulder for Talshar agents for the rest of my life?" Sorex smirks and says, "You crossed that line the moment you accepted that into your custody. But if you want my honest assessment, no one, not even Klingons, carry a grudge like a Romulan. However, we only pursue those grudges if they are convenient, and you're on nobody's sensors for now. What's your deal?" She seems to regard him for a moment, let that sink in, glances at the rest of you for a moment, and she says, There's something I need from someone here at Nimbus 3. I've been trying to deal with him for a while now. He has friends that can get me things that I need to bring order to this town of chaos. As you know, Nimbus 3 is not exactly hospitable. It doesn't have much of a future. But there are some of us who might actually want to see that change. In order to do that, I need to be able to protect my interests. He has access to what I need, but what he wants is unattainable for me. However, it's possible that an agent or former agent of the Tal Shiar might possibly be able to succeed where my minions have failed. So you're asking me to do this person a favor so he can give you what I want, and in return, we get this. That's right. I can stage an introduction.
Oh, I love meeting new people.
Me too.
Again, Sorex reading the room and hearing what you guys are actually saying to him. He nods and says, "You've done me a kindness trusting me, so I'll return the favor. What is it you're after anyway?" And she goes, "No, don't worry about that. Take comfort in that what happens on Nimbus 3 stays on Nimbus 3. This world has been a lawless cesspool for a while, and it's time somebody turned this into a place we can all live. Enough for you?" Sorex kind of adopts a new posture and says, "It makes no difference to me." Of course it doesn't. Well, let's go visit our friend. Follow me. A few of the people begin to follow her, and she stops and goes, "You all stay here. You know how he doesn't like a crowd. Shall we?" And by herself, walks out the front door that she led you all in. Sorex glances at the two of you, playing the role, caresses your arm for a moment, Azuri, and then begins to move forward with a smile on his face. As y'all are about to leave, Slabaz pauses and looks at one of the men and just says,
"If there's anything left of the body after the implant is removed, I'll pay for it. Never had Romulan before."
He watches rather horrified as Slabaz walks out the door behind all of you. As you're heavily thudding up the staircase, Slabaz, you hear him say to you, Lacat, who's kind of right in front of him, you hear him go,
"Everyone thinks Gorn eat people. Fools."
The cat is genuinely curious. She wants to know what Gorn do eat in that case.
You ask him?
Yeah, she actually does. Well, if not people, then...
I enjoy fish.
You and Tech would get along. And then she focuses back up ahead.
You can see his brain trying to work out that sentence, clearly thinking you're actually referring to technology. And his eyes narrow for a second as he's trying to put it together, but he doesn't say anything as you all continue walking. He just kind of plays off like, yeah, like in those conversations where somebody just casually says something that supposedly they assume that you know, and you're like, oh yeah.
Yeah, and Jane thinks he's got it, so you know.
He doesn't have it. He just kind of nods and goes,
like, did he get that? Do I need to make sure that the other person in this conversation understood what I said? Jane is not that person.
Right.
She's back paying attention. She would like to make as much of a mental map of this place as possible, though, as we're walking.
Okay. So the streets of Paradise City, this is not a very large settlement. It was clear that this was mostly designed to be a large hub for 3 embassies, 3 of the major powers of the quadrant, to come together and to live comfortably. But it's small and it's falling apart. The population of this place has probably varied over the years, but this place couldn't support more than maybe 500 people. And judging from the disrepair and the poverty that you see in the streets, this place has also become something of a waypoint for the disenfranchised and the lost. And by poverty, I mean you see people clutching children. You see people. This is what it is to live outside of one of the major powers when you have fallen off the galactic map and have become forgotten by the galaxy. A far cry from the pristine streets of San Francisco. And somewhat reminiscent of the stories you've heard from your parents of what it was like growing up in Cardassia before the military took over. All of these just kind of echoing as you're walking by looking at all of this. And what shakes you out of it is you all see where you're being led. It's only about 4 blocks from where you were. Not making any conversation, she beelines straight for the location y'all are headed for. And you see a very large domed tan building, cracks beginning to form in some of the outlying structure. But outside, clearly stated, you can see the words clinic painted on the wall very crudely. And as y'all are all approaching, you see a woman, a race that you don't recognize, but isn't necessarily unfamiliar, with these large porous holes in her head, clutching a child. She has deep blue skin as she's escorting her child out. These vibrant purple eyes glance up at you, slightly larger than humanoid eyes. As she glances at all of you kind of nervously and takes her child and shuffles away. Her child is smiling and saying, "I feel better, Mommy." And they move off to the side. As you are all approaching the entryway to this clinic, the Andorian Etiva at the front of the column pauses and turns and stops all of you. She raises her hands and says, "Before we go in, you're going to see some things in here that might trouble you. If you care about the sort of thing that you're about to see, keep in mind 2 things, please. 1, this man has done a lot for Nimbus 3, saved a lot of lives. And 2, he's the only doctor here on Nimbus 3, so please don't upset him. You're about to use my name to make this connection, and I don't want to ruin it. Can we all agree?" Sorex glances at all of you and says, "I think I can speak for my companions and say that we will behave ourselves as we have thus far." She says, "Follow me." You hear this grinding sound of a door that slides open on its own, but clearly is just matted with grime, this sort of scraping, rusted as the door skids open. And the lot of you enter a very well-lit, looks like a sparse laboratory. The first thing you notice about this place is cool air hits you in the face. And you can immediately hear the whirring sounds of almost like a server room, like the place is being run cool for a reason. It's sparse, mostly of like worn, aged metal all over the place. You see a couple of empty canisters with like barrels, like metal containers that you would see. They have been opened, they are empty, they don't seem to have anything inside. One of them is overturned. In the far corner, you see what looks like a cot that has been repaired and has blankets and a comfortable place to live, as well as all sorts of trinkets laying around. So on the right side of this building is a little more familiar to a medical lab. You can see what looks like an operating table, but also what looks like a tech table with some junk laid out on it. But none of that grabs your attention as quickly as the Borg that's laying on one of the slabs. It immediately catches the attention of everybody as they walk into the room. It is clearly, from the look of it, as dead as things can get. It is a collection of bones with Borg tech drilled into them. It looks like somebody probably had gotten a hold of a Borg and the bioorganics had rotted away. However, you can tell from the computer display that it's over its head and the lights that are glittering across the surface of this thing's facial displays attached to a skull that the non-organic side is quite active. There's a display right above that you see this line going across. And at first, you're not sure what it is. It looks like it might be some kind of registrar for a heartbeat, but it's completely like it's wobbly, slightly wobbly on this green, sickly green display. She raises her hand. Kiva, and comes to a stop. She says, "Stop here, stop here." Diane? Yes, Akiva. You hear the Borg's voice coming out of the display screen. The screen just wobbles. It says, "Your doctor is waiting for you." And you watch as coming from around the corner, leaning out with goggles on from a display case from the back of the room. If you would like to introduce yourself and describe yourself, dear friend who's muted.
That's right, I knew that. He's honestly kind of what you see is what you get. He's human. Looks like he hasn't showered in quite a while. Really doesn't seem to take care of himself much. Doesn't look like he gets out much. Are we in my lab at the moment?
Mm-hmm.
Oh. And was I expecting people?
No, you had pretty much seen your last patient for the day. Why don't we give you a description of what you're looking at? So first of all, you see a Romulan, very handsome with angular features, slight strands of gray hair and the dome-cut hair that's very typical of the Romulan Star Empire. Very pronounced ridges on his forehead, with a quizzical brow looking at you, and he's flanked by Azri, who looks like
6'5" Orion, dressed in extremely skimpy black leather and seemingly glued to the Romulan's arm like arm candy.
And on the other arm, you see Macrel, who is a Caitian, very short for a Caitian, about 5'4", wearing a red, slinky, Paradise City attire dress on the other arm.
All right.
And then you see Lacat, who is a 5'10" Cardassian, who is wearing Cardassian military uniform and is posing as a bodyguard next to the albino Trill, who looks a little like John Wick.
The albino Trill, who is, in order to protect himself from the harsh environments of Nimbus 3, is completely wrapped up, masked up with goggles on, a hood on, completely wrapped. And looking something like an intimidating desert, like Mad Max style enforcer, just shrouded. But behind him is a Gorn that reaches upward to about 8 feet tall. He's wearing leathers strapped across his chest. He's so large that his posture is actually affecting him a bit. His shoulders are slumped forward. This thick reptilian, almost dinosaur-like alligator skin stretched across these thick muscles that look like tree trunks branching off the side of his torso. These big, yellowed, glassed over. It looks like these ocular implants that the Gorn are known for sometimes wearing, almost like a mirror finish. They make his eyes look like he has bug eyes, like they're segmented like an insect's eyes. But you know them that those are ocular glasses that Gorn can put on and take off at will. The big thing you notice about him is it seems like he has some kind of assault weapon on his back, like maybe a Gatling gun, something that looks like an artillery piece that's been lifted and strapped to his back. It might be affecting his posture. He doesn't seem, his outward appearance as a Gorn is intimidating enough, but he seems rather enraptured with where he is and is a little distracted and not really paying attention to you. This, of course, is all flanking Etiva, who pulls her hood back, revealing her beautiful features, that big white smile and then behind big blue lips. And when she sees you, she says, "Don't get angry. I brought them because I have a solution to our deal problem."
I don't get angry. You know that. I have 11 phasers hidden around the room, wired to an experimental AI that will read a microaggression and shoot anybody who even thinks about shooting anything, so I don't need to get angry. You have friends? They're new in town? They don't know you?
I'm acquainted with Sorex here. She kind of motions to the Romulan, who nods to you and says, Sorex and I did business some time ago before he departed Nimbus 3 rather abruptly without saying goodbye. He's returned and he is looking to make a deal. He's trying to get his hands on the Romulan's Taliesin implant that I have back at my place.
You don't have an implant. Where would you have gotten a Romulan implant? That's ridiculous.
I have my ties to the black market, Keel. I can get things.
Okay, let's say you have this implant. What do you need from me today? Obviously, I can't afford anything like that right now.
They want the implant, so here's what I have for you. Your friends, your shadowy friends, if we can make the arrangement for the weapons that I asked for, Sorex here can get you into the medical lab underneath the former Federation facility here on Nimbus 3.
How do they plan to do that? Out of idle curiosity.
We're very skilled.
Right.
Persuasive, some might even say.
Apparently. Well, I'm going to need a little bit more than that. I'm going to need... You have that implant? Do they have that implant?
The implant is on the body of the Romulan that I have back at my base, and I was prepared to give it to them if they are willing to get you what you need, and then you can get me what I need.
Ooh. I'm gonna need that implant. I'm gonna need that implant and at least some of that body. Yeah, I'm gonna need that. If that's all right with the rest of you, that's fair.
Sorex glances around and says, the implant is the purpose for our being here, unless there's an alternative way of doing this that I don't know about. You see, he kind of throws that question open, almost expecting to see if maybe one of y'all are going to catch it.
Why do you need the implant? Extrapolate.
You see Sorex, Azari, you can tell Sorex, he realizes the same as everybody else that you guys have hit a wall. You see him debating for a moment. He glances underneath his eyebrows. He just glances up and looks at all of you and says, I need the implant because I was fortunate enough to have mine successfully removed. However, the damage to my brain has caused a significant loss of memory, and it is theorized that the energy output of these implants that the Taliesin puts in us could potentially restore that which has been lost.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. That could be done. See, this is making sense now. See, this is a problem. Trying to get into a medical facility, that's not a problem. That's a step. You need to solve a problem. You have a problem now. This I can handle. Hold on. Diane,
yes, Doctor.
Scan the Romulan's head meats. Just full scan.
Scanning. This green glow from the ceiling, and all of a sudden this laser-like line just scan complete. Borg nanites detected. You see Akiva's eyes widen and goes, the fuck? She immediately turns and looks in terror at Sorex. Sorex, who doesn't seem to show his face, but he exhales and says, there's nothing to worry about. Borg nanites were used medically and safely to restore portions of my brain that had been destroyed by the implant's removal. Dr. Keel, I'll tell you right off the bat right now, nobody but a top doctor with knowledge of how to exact an extraordinary amount of skill in that kind of operation would be able to succeed at such a thing. Plus, you're also aware that the only time Borg nanites have been successfully utilized has been portrayed in some of the research that came back from Starship Voyager, from when it returned from the Delta Quadrant.
Etiva, thank you. I think we have some kind of arrangement. I will finalize this arrangement with these wonderful people that you have brought me. Your business here is concluded.
And I can expect we can deal with the weapons and your shadowy little friends?
If everything goes well, yes. Now, adults need to talk. Adults!
She raises her hand and says, have fun. And you see her glance at Sorex as she's leaving, almost like she doesn't know him anymore. Moves past all of you and exits the door. Grinding sound as it closes. You do the wave, Azari. She glances over her shoulder just in time where you see this heavy grinding door just come to a close. And you are supposedly alone in this room now with this eccentric doctor and this Borg AI.
And 11 phasers.
And 11 phasers that
And 11 phasers.
So she turns to the doctor and says, any chance we'll know where those phasers are located?
No, I lied. There aren't. There's... anyway, we're in business now. So, you need to deal with your friend here. He's had one removed, and he needs some way of fixing the damage that this thing did to him. Right. Sorex, is it?
Yes.
I might be able to help. I can probably help. I think I can help. Usually if I think I can do something, I can probably do it. I can do it.
Do you need us
What
to give
were
you
you
a
going
pep
to do
talk?
with it?
Well,
What's that?
Do you
There's
need
crosstalk. Sorry.
No, I was waiting for Sam to go first, but Jane said, do you need us to give you a pep talk? Because she's looking at this doctor and she does not trust him. He just said there are no phasers in here. First of all, probably a freaking lie. But she's not that convinced that he can do what he can say he can do. So when he's like, if I can do this, she turns to him and says, do you need us to give you a pep talk?
no, I only ever need pep talks from people who are smarter than me. Nothing personal.
Would you like to give me, or would you like me to give you a pep talk then?
Well, I'll tell you what. Split the difference. Diane, what would I need to pull this off? I know we're missing some supplies for this sort of. We were going to do some sort of operational brain surgery. What's still needed?
To extract the Romulan device, you would need an optotronic fusion core. In order to power the laser scalpel required to remove such a delicate procedure.
What would be the closest location of said tools?
The most likely location is the Federation research facility that you wish to break into, Doctor.
Well, that works out all right. All right. You get me into the building. I take what I need, which will be honestly quite a bit. And there will probably be facilities there that will allow me to perform some surgery on your friend here. In return, I get to keep whatever I remove, and four vials of blood, as long as they are nanite active.
4 vials of my blood?
Yes, your blood. Yeah, your blood. I already have, if it makes you feel better, a containment system for Borg nanites. It's just what you have is special. I would like to poke it, preferably when it's not inside you. I think that would be the optimal outcome for everyone.
Yeah, it seems too personal, when the blood's inside you.
I'd rather keep things impersonal.
So we help you rob this whole Federation dump. You pick up you loot it, and we get what we need.
Liberate medical supplies if it makes you feel better. There's a lot of people who need medical attention on this rock. I do what I can.
Yeah, I hear you're the only doctor. Some doctor. And I just look over my shoulder to the Borg skeleton.
Yeah. Borg, it looks like it was a Borg drone. Doesn't look like it was a tactical drone or anything like that. It looks like a standard Borg drone from the looks of the arm aperture. But it also looks like it's been dead for quite a while. And it looks like he has, in something you have never seen or even heard of before, Saul, it looks like he has successfully melded technology, like an amalgam of Federation and unidentifiable computer technology, and hardwired it into the headpiece to create what looks like a brand new AI based off of the information supplanted by the Borg implant chip. Essentially has made a Borg intelligence separate from the collective that kind of lives on its own.
Impressive, isn't it? We've kept most of it running pretty successfully. And the whole thing still operates with less than half a gram of protein matter still attached. One of my greatest achievements.
Why Diane?
I'm quite beautiful, you hear Diane say over the intercom, just filling this entire room.
Thank you, Diane. So, I will need those nanites. I will need the supplies that we will liberate from the building. And
you are suggesting that you conduct the surgery to reinstall this implant into my head?
Well, I am probably the most qualified person you're going to find in several systems, so yes, I am.
You see Macrell's hair bristle, her fur.
Cat fur begins to stand slowly on end.
Cat got your tongue. She's just literally like holding her tongue tight because she doesn't want to blow any cover, but she's just
the Cation equivalent of the jaw clench.
It's like you didn't mean to offend anyone here. You're just stating fact, but that was an insult.
He seems to think about this for a moment and says, let me ask you this. Is there any way... I don't know how to request... Is there any way... What I'm trying to do is restore the memories that were lost without having to reinsert a death chip into my head. Is there any way to do that using the technology?
Maybe. I'd have to see the device, see if it's actually got some sort of uplink to previous data, if it's got some sort of recording system, if it's holds some sort of log of memory history. I honestly haven't taken a look at the thing. If you let me take a look at the thing, I could happily answer, but...
So if you were going to look at it, we would need to get it from Etiva. So we get the chip first, and then we get you your medical supplies. Is that correct? And then the deals...
That's correct. And again, no promises, but I will do my very, very best. And my very best is, to be fair, very, very good.
Then how do we give Etiva the guarantee that you're going to give her whatever weapons that she's asking for? Since that's what she wants for the chip.
She knows me. A handshake deal is perfectly valid. I have to live on this rock, too.
This sounds amenable to me. And he glances a little bit over to you, Azari.
Hey, I have a question. Hi, Vel.
It's healthy to have questions.
How come it's so hard to get into this medical facility anyway? Why do you need us if you have, like, weapons and shadow friends?
Well, Federation is Federation, and this thing's been abandoned for a while, and no one really wants to kick up dust. No one really knows what's going on in there, and my Federation credentials are complicated, and I would need help getting in the first place. And, well, I'm not really one for this sort of investment without something in return. Not breaking into a Federation, building a loan.
Sorex again kind of just says, "This sounds quite amenable to me."
I squeeze his arm like yeah, this works for me.
So, we will contact Etiva and tell her she has a deal. And then I will use my skills to get us into this Federation. Is it a base?
Embassy. It's a abandoned embassy.
Of course.
There were plans for this rock that apparently didn't come through. So here we are.
Do we expect resistance?
I have no idea.
Fair. Well, I will contact Etiva immediately, and perhaps you could entertain my guests, my comrades, while I make this arrangement.
Yeah, get that thing here as quickly as possible. Actually, before you go, about those blood samples, I would love to get a jump on that.
Very well.
I'm
Jane, you're like,
over.
I wish I could reach across the room and squeeze this man's neck right now.
and just
Yeah,
go for
Yeah, McCrow's not happy either.
Hey, but like I'm the bodyguard here, and so like status level can't say anything. But Jane actually does speak up in that moment and says, we don't pay until the job is done.
This is part of the job. I have to know what I'm dealing with. So fine for the medical supplies, but if you want me to figure out how to do this, I need to start scanning whatever it is that these Romulan cowboys did in here. I don't know the tech that well, so I need to start taking a look at it. I'm mostly specialized in
You want to
tech.
know how the nanites were able to repair my brain?
Just and also if they're going to make anything difficult later.
And also because you think they're nifty.
That's very fair. Now, about that, I just grab the an extractor and just
Okay.
go in, and it'll just take four quick pumps.
Sorex kind of, his torso jerks as you basically just slam it into his chest. It's enough where the gourd in the back doesn't move, but Prawl twitches. Doesn't do anything, but he twitches.
I put it down, I get a colorful Band-Aid and stick it on without making eye contact.
You see, as Sorex is covering his pec where you stabbed him a good one, you just reach over and put Band-Aid right across the clothing piece, and he just rubs it a little bit and says, "Thank you."
Diane.
Yes, doctor.
Start a full scan. I wanna know
Running
what
preliminary scans.
let me know what we're dealing with. And
Modified medical Borg nanites matching the specifications as transmitted by Starship Voyager upon its return from its journey through the Delta Quadrant.
Yeah.
Nanites display a remarkable regenerative capabilities. Enhanced. No connections, however, could be established using these. Stand by.
That's fine. So the big question here is, are they helping? Are they hurting at this point? Are they going to be able to turn off? Are they going to cause any problems? Are they going to fight any surgical augmentations that we attempt to do? Do we have to remove them? Do we have to leave them active? Do we shut them off? These are questions.
Questions that would probably be vital to answer. Unfortunately, they're not available to me personally. And you see, while you're not looking, Dr. Keel, Sorex glances very quickly at the Cation when he notices he's not being stared at, and then looks back. What were you going to say, Bonnie?
I was gonna say, is the doctor off to the side, like kind of talking to himself and like not really paying attention? In a way.
No, I would say he's standing right in front of you and is quite invested in the conversation.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll be patient.
This will take a while, but in the meantime, we can gather anything that you might need. We'll head in that direction. Do you have a plan for getting into this place? This is not really my expertise.
Breaking into Federation facilities is something of a specialty of mine, and
I squeeze his arm unnecessarily hard.
Azuri letting a little bit of that irritation to come on display. A small grin cracks across his face, and he just says, however, before we depart, I, of course, will need to contact Etiva, and if I may be so bold, I actually might need to sit down for a moment. The heat, along with the blood extraction, has made me somewhat dizzy.
There's a patient chair. Feel free.
I'm gonna keep him on my arm and I'm gonna walk him over.
Okay.
He's my patient. But
Tal,
really.
I'm gonna have you make a roll.
Oh no. I don't like the sound of that.
So I'm gonna have you roll. Add your insight.
Mm-hmm.
And this is for Taliesin. So
Oh.
Dr. Keel, roll your insight plus your security. And I'm going to set the difficulty for this at 2. So you'll need to roll, let's see, so your insight.
11 total.
Yeah, so you'll need to roll 11 or lower on 2d20.
On 2d20. One's a 2, the other's an 18.
2 successes, though?
Yep.
Okay, great. So before I continue, when we are done playing this game, for the love of God, before you go back to your D&D campaign, burn sage underneath your dice. Since
these are not my dice.
Oh, excellent. Excellent. Go outside and bury them since they won't be geared to rolling ones for successes.
I'm using cursed dice.
Someone you don't like for D&D.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm using an opal. Are you kidding? Yeah.
All right. So you're watching all of them, and your instinct has been kicking in from the moment they walked in the door. You kind of just you didn't really care before because all you saw was an objective in front of you that you could achieve. But you're starting to slowly get the impression by the way they're behaving and the measured way in which they're responding and the questions that they're asking that they're probably not who they're acting like they are. You're not sure who they could be, but they could be elite bodyguards. It's hard to say. I mean, is a Romulan Tal Shiar agent or former Tal Shiar agent standing in front of you? But this Orion, the Cation, the Cardassian, it's a motley group, and you're getting the impression there's an undercurrent here that they're not telling you. It's a read you're getting.
Where did you say you're all from? Answers! Answers! Who do they look at?
That's a great question. I'm going to have everyone roll.
Oh, perfect. Okay.
So, I'm going to have you guys roll your control plus command, and the difficulty will be 2.
Did we get any momentum off of Tel's
Not
roll? I
yet.
forgot the success number. Okay.
No, because we wouldn't get success off of him, would we?
I don't know. He might add to the threat pool.
Difficulty was 2. He got 2 successes. So no.
Okay, then we're fine. Then you
He's
can't use
technically,
my deception focus, unfortunately.
Well, I rolled 20 on one of my dice.
You rolled a complication! Dun, 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 dun. And of course it's Lacat. Of course it's Lacat.
But the other one is a 6. So, but I don't think my... No, that works. No, it doesn't work. So
Okay.
right?
I'm totally picturing Lacat just going, well, I'm certainly not a Cardassian Federation starship officer from the U.S. Cross. That would be insane.
The irony is that of all the personalities here, Kat has kind of kept her own, and
Right.
so it's just her playing security instead of playing science.
Okay.
And
So
yeah,
how do you respond with the I'm gonna enact that complication. Tell me what Lacat's response is.
So, okay, well, first of all, you're like, I want answers, and I think Lecat's response is literally just saying, we have special knowledge of Federation because we have a lot of experience in it.
Okay.
I think she's still mad at the comment about the smarter pep talk, and so I think she's gonna recall that and say, I thought you didn't like getting pep talks from people who aren't smarter than you.
Now, what's interesting about this, Dr. Keel, is when she says all this, she doesn't seem aware that she spends the first 3 seconds staring straight at Azari Sol, the Orion, whose name you don't have yet, but the 6 foot plus Orion that's towering over the Romulan on their arm. It's almost like this Cardassian almost looks like she's looking at that green one to make sure that everything she's saying is on the level, and then turns her attention back to you. Just clearly the comment you made earlier really pissed her off because it kind of makes her forget herself for a second.
Absolutely. We're going to say it was the comment, and it's just, she looks like she wants to strangle you, and so yeah, I think that
the temperament of the Cardassian getting the best of her.
It's like, we have a lot of experience with Federation with the Federation. Extrapolate that from what you will, Doctor, because you are so smart.
She just continues to talk herself deeper and deeper into a hole of reveal. She keeps like trying to drive an insult into you, Doctor. And every time she does this, she doesn't even know she's doing it, but she's occasionally glancing at the Orion again and again, just blinking.
Worst 20 I've rolled. I mean, it's so game. But yes, she digs herself a pretty deep hole.
Yeah.
As a way to distract from the Lecat rant that is happening, as I'm moving Sorax to the chair that he's set to like sit in, I'm gonna swish my tail extremely obnoxiously and like just to try and like get his attention to look over here and look back and be like, I am from wherever you want me to be, and then sit Sorax down and just kind of look at Lecat a little bit, like.
I mean,
it was bound to come out sooner or later, and so it might as well be sooner. Might as well have an element of honesty here if he's going to steal our blood.
So you're in charge.
Where we're from.
I'm gonna turn to Azari. So you're in charge of these people.
I have a certain sort of authoritative air, I like to think.
Because one can tell when the later.
Diane, scan for technology on our guest.
Scanning. Diane begins to list. There is a Federation phaser rifle currently strapped to the back of the one who is a joined Trill, apparently, completely wrapped up. There is an emergency Federation communicator located underneath one of his belts. And the scan probably would never have picked that up because it has a dampener on it. However, Diane is Diane. You get to see, you've seen this, that particular device you've seen before too. It's not something that you just kind of have on you. But the Federation phaser rifle is kind of a giveaway. You also detect no, actually that would be it. Everybody else, if I remember correctly, is pretty much wearing weapons that were found on Taraz's his baby.
So we can all just look surprised and go, Federation!
Yeah. So at least one of them has Federation tech on them right now.
Which one?
The one that's all wrapped up and has
right.
all the wraps on him is completely shadowed and whatnot. The one who's been the most quiet next to the Gorn.
Huh. Well, you've had some run-ins with someone, so either you've been pulling weapons off of Federation, or you are Federation. You're clearly not Romulan, or else I wouldn't be pulling this out of somebody's head. Definitely not Klingon. Oh, just speed it up for me.
Well, I think what needs to be known is there's no version of this where we're not uniquely qualified to get into your facility. You've just proved it.
I'm going to feel better about this whole transaction if I do know who I'm dealing with.
At that point, Prawl does finally glance, but it's hard to tell who he's glancing at. His head moves, but he's so masked with the goggles on, you don't know who he's looking at, but he does have, and you can hear the leather cracking around his, the high collar as he glances over at the rest of the group, waiting for some kind of signal or a sign, or he's just listening to what y'all are saying. You, on the other hand, Macrell, who are sitting very close to Sorex, hear him mutter something in Romulan. In human vernacular, it would probably be the Romulan equivalent of an exasperation, something along the lines of Jesus fucking Christ. As though this Hellstar operative is watching everything crumble right in front of him, and he can't do anything about it.
I'm going to say the exact same explicitive incation.
Incation?
Yep. Which just basically sounds like a angry purr.
Okay. The cat's like, hey, I may have found some gold down here. Okay, so a heavy silence falls upon everybody.
You show me yours. Maybe I'll show you mine.
You're all way too bad at this. I know exactly who you are. And I'm gonna go walking into the back of my lab and start rummaging through a bin.
Okay. You can all hear the noises. And Prawl, at that point, since he's gone, Prawl looks at all of you and just says, this is going well.
I think so too.
While he's away really quick, I'm going to turn to Sorax and be like,
we do not have to put the chip in your head. We could make an adaptable neural transceiver to activate the nanites to do the exact...
basically trying to tell him as much information as I could so he can hint it later so I don't have to say it out loud.
His hand
so I'm just going to ramble medical...
He grabs your hand as you're starting to fire off all this medical jargon, and he says, Doctor, if this is happening here, you're going to have to speak to him. I can't make these calls. I don't know what you did to me.
Okay, maybe I can try and make him think that he came up with the idea.
Good luck.
Thank you.
I come back and I have just some paperwork with me. I throw it down on the desk in front of them.
You also, okay.
Just some paperwork, maybe a photograph, or just a dossier on myself.
Okay. Okay. That's it down right in front of you guys.
I'll take a look.
I go back to grab a couple more things.
Okay. You reach down this paperwork. You see, this is old stuff. It looks like it's on the glossy paper that looks like official Federation documentation that is not kept on datapad. This is a physical copy of. Is this your service record? Is this kind of like your history?
Just the basics.
Okay.
Just the early stuff.
If this is to be believed, Azri, this gentleman's name is Dr. Aaron Keel. He was the chief medical officer of the USS Webster, a ship you're not entirely familiar with. It was a Nebula-class starship from the looks of it. And as you keep moving down, you end up lifting what looks like this glossed, this synthetic layered protection across these documents. As you pull it up, you actually see that as you withdraw that, the material itself, this is actually digital. And as you pull it up, you see that the tech that is actually inside the underpart of this translucent, almost like plastic covering, is basically constantly revising and filling out the paperwork as you scroll through it. So it's almost like this sort of scrolling mechanism of physical documents. You've seen the Federation use this in the past. They switched to pads almost exclusively not long ago, but this is not old tech at all. But what grabs your attention is that at the very bottom, you see that the USS Webster was destroyed at 359.
he? Has he come back yet? Because he was going through something.
I'm grabbing a few things that I know I have that for. Yeah, I'm coming back. I'm grabbing it again, putting it away.
You also, as he comes back, you see a couple of other things that stand out to you. At some point, he worked for the Daystrom Institute. There's no indication as to when and where, and like how long that lasted. But he was in residence at the Daystrom Institute for some amount of time, and it looks like his specialties are in cybernetic augmentation, nanotech, and experimental technology.
And just to clarify, Eric, because I'm not a Trekkie, so when you say destroyed at 359, the important piece of information there is that it was destroyed, not that there was like an event that happened at 359.
It was destroyed in the biggest Borg attack in his, like the Borg fucking decimated.
Yes.
Okay.
So Rave, in your TNG watch through, have you reached the point where the cutest of Borg shows up?
I have not, because I
That's
don't.
okay. It's great. You're gonna love it. It's called The Best of Both Worlds. You're gonna love it. It is one of the pivotal moments of modern Trek history when the greatest villain of the Federation is essentially introduced, and the Borg essentially send a single cube against the Federation, and they were not ready. And
36 ships destroyed, if I remember.
A lot of ships, a lot of life lost. Captain Benjamin Sisko, that's where he lost his wife.
Oh boy.
He was at Wolf 359. Wolf 359 is a system just outside of the Sol system.
And it was one Borg cube, if I recall.
It was a single Borg cube.
36
decimated. It was something like, it was like 38 or 39 ships, but I do know that it was about 11,000 people died in that battle.
Oh boy. Okay. So this would be prior knowledge that we all go, oh shit.
Every Federation officer has to learn about it. Everybody knows about it. There is currently like a monument out in the debris field that is still at Wolf 359 to commemorate the loss of everybody there. People who are survivors of Wolf 359 in Star Trek are treated like survivors of Pearl Harbor.
Okay, copy. Yikes. Does that make Jane feel any more sympathy for Keel? Probably not, but
it's kind of like this gasp moment where you're like, holy shit, he was there.
That's what's wrong with him.
Like, this dude was there.
It's like, this explains everything.
Yes. And you're starting to build a story as you're looking at this, because you're seeing the Borg corpse, the eccentric behavior, the no longer a member of Starfleet. Like, you're starting to get a profile here, Azri, of who you're dealing with. This guy was a chief medical officer. He used to be a rank of commander aboard his starship.
Would I recognize his name at all due to his would I recognize his name at all? There's a special
you know what though? Actually, no. Because here's the thing, McCrell. When you were implanting those nanites to heal, you would have absolutely come across some of the research and preliminary work done by Dr. Aaron Keel, who is one of the leading minds in nanotech and cybernetic technology. You could see that he had done some pretty extraordinary papers, but was essentially, for the lack of a better, more graceful way of saying it, kicked out of Daystrom, or pushing the boundaries of ethical work regarding Borg technology and nanite technology.
Aggressively retired.
He Moira'd it, for those of you who know Overwatch. He was pushing the boundaries, and Daystrom, after multiple warnings, said they had had enough. You remember that from your research. His name pops the moment you see his name. You're like, you also know that he vanished. He apparently he left serving in Starfleet, worked at Daystrom, and then after Daystrom, he vanishes because you were trying to pursue more of his work to help Sorex. And now you're looking at this late middle-aged human drop more items. What are in the items that you put down as you grab more and set them down?
Oh, I didn't set them down. I'm just
you didn't set them down? Okay.
Any questions? So, I assume Federation. I don't know about the rest of you. Federation, maybe Federation. Romulan, I don't know. That's interesting. That's very interesting.
Cardassian's interesting too. It's hard to say.
Cardassian's pretty iffy as well. So,
How
what
did
is
that
this
kind of
about?
work end you up here?
Well, I found the Daystrom Institute was not prepared to do what was necessary to make sure that another Wolf 359 never happens, and we mutually decided that the best thing to do was for me to continue my work elsewhere, somewhere where I was less likely to be arrested. But the work must continue. Things must be done. We can't afford to have another 359. So I sit here, I do my work, and when the work is finished, maybe go home. Maybe not.
They're certainly not going to arrest you here.
I would hope not.
Who would do it?
Nobody. There's 11 phasers hidden throughout this entire room. I'd like to see them get through.
Jane's back to looking for the 11th phaser.
As you're looking around, Slabaz, the Gorn, has spent a lot of time when he's not watching the Cation shake her thing and like glancing, kind of like getting distracted. He's glancing back at the walls, and when he notices you, Lacat, glancing around, he leans down from his height and whispers as much as a Gorn can whisper. He just says,
I still haven't found any. If they're there, I don't see them.
I don't trust this one bit. Keep looking.
Okay. Still don't see them.
So,
Don't like this.
Federation, I'm assuming Federation.
Assume.
Fair. What if I did an ID scan? Would that even be possible?
on them?
Yeah.
Considering you wouldn't be able to necessarily scan them, but let me put it this way. If they are Federation, it's not going to be hard to look up Orion and Cardassian.
Diane, identity scan. I don't normally do this, but...
So you can feel a tension building in the back of your neck as the green light, as he's continuing to drill and gather information.
I'm good for it. I'm banking that his database is out of date, which means I would have been undercover last he had it.
Okay.
It would pop McCrell and would pop Prawl, but I don't think it would pop the others unless he has done a very recent database hack. Either way, it tells me something about him.
So McCrell, what you see is up on the display, which normally displays medical charts, you see all of your faces. The Gorn and the Romulan, you don't recognize. The computer does nothing to say on them. The rest of you, except for Prawl, all see your Starfleet files start coming up on the screen.
I hate that picture of myself.
It's your personnel file, Saul.
Photo.
It's not. This is not easily accessible. This is your fucking personnel files, and you see them going. Match 99.8783% probability. Captain Azuri Sol, USS Ross, NX 76710.
Well, that'll do it then. All right, we can speak freely.
At that point, Keel, as you're saying, oh, that'll do it then, as you're glancing, you start seeing the list of alkalades on Azuri's personnel file, and right at the top is Starfleet intelligence. You see, you also see the commendations, the former captaincy that they have had. You see Lieutenant Katz profile coming up, first Cardassian to serve in Starfleet, science officer, all of the alkalades, biology, particularly botany as a specialty. McCrell grabs your attention. Lieutenant Commander McCrell has an extraordinary list of specializations in medicine that you actually find quite interesting. Bonnie, what are your focuses in medicine as they are listed here on your personnel files?
Yes. So obviously, like xenobiology, infectious diseases, experimental medicine, emergency medicine. She served in the Dominion War on the front lines as a medic as well. Obviously, like botany, xenobiology, psychiatry, but yeah, surgery. She's a very skilled surgeon as well.
The experimental medicine definitely grabs your attention, but you also see at the annotations at the bottom, and this is what grabs all of y'all's attention, is these are up to date. And you can actually see at the bottom of the personnel file, McCrell, Lieutenant Commander McCrell, is the one responsible for conducting a successful nanite surgery on what has been listed as the Romulan defector.
Close all the files.
Ooh.
Sorex clenches his jaw and says, "How could you have this?"
How'd you do it? McQuell? McQuell, is it?
McCrell.
McCrell.
Yes.
So,
Dr. McCrell. Now I'm pissed. Now I'm like,
Smile right there.
how'd you get the nanites to do that? That's amazing.
carefully.
I'm gonna have to hopefully get to see that data. That's very interesting.
You obviously have all of our files. You could read my paper on it. Submitted to Starfleet.
Paper's paper, but talking to people in the middle of things is always more illuminating. Both of you, Lacat, Krell, very interesting. Very, very interesting. I have some papers you might enjoy as well. It's good. And, Captain Sull, is it?
Sure.
Let me, I imagine you're feeling a little vulnerable at the moment.
Sure.
The cat is out of the bag. I'm proud of that one.
Let me put your mind at ease. And I quietly away from everyone else, just show my badge before putting it back in my pocket.
To Azuri?
To Azuri.
Okay.
Because of what I read.
Okay. He moves up to you and he holds his hand and he flashes a little piece of metal right in front of you. You see a Starfleet insignia, and half of it is coated in black, with a single metal silver tip down to the right. You've seen this only once in a briefing, and you have an idea exactly as to what it is. And there's this shock of ice that lances up your spine the moment you see it.
I'll roll myself a Claros check.
Okay.
Oh, dang, we're good. We're very good. That was a very good Claros check.
You keep control. You've seen this before, and the only person who has ever talked to you about this was Ree. Admiral Ree discussed this with you in private because it was a ghost. It was a ghost story that gets told by Starfleet intelligence operatives. No one actually believes that this is real. Even though that there was a lot of stories that were getting passed around during the Dominion War, it was never officially confirmed. But Ree sat you down. You'll never forget the night you were in his quarters. The two of you, it was the night before you were leaving Starfleet intelligence and you were going to serve on your first command, captaining that Nova-class starship. You were sitting across from him at the coffee table and he was pouring a cup for you. He leans back and you see him sitting in his couch and he pulls the coffee, he pulls the mug up to his face and then he removes the breather out of the side and says, I never remember to take this thing off. And he sets it down on the table and says, you know, while you're out there's a few things that you should know before you leave Starfleet intelligence, especially since you're going to be jumping around the galaxy in the aftermath of a great war. And he sips it.
I imagine there are a few things. What could I possibly have to know before going on an exploration vessel?
He sets it down and says, Azuri, there's a chance because of your exploits during the Dominion War that you might be approached for recruitment. And it's time I talk to you about an organization called Section 31.
I thought that was to scare recruits to intelligence.
I'll start with the Federation Charter, and we'll go from there. The two of you leaned close, and over the course of the next hour, Reed told you about the shadowy organization that exists outside of what the Federation knows as operations. They have access, and they have the resources, and they do things that is outside of what the Federation would consider moral, ethical, you name it. Section 31 operatives believe to their core that they are doing what is necessary so that captains like you can go on being shining examples of paragon and virtue. And they will continue to sweep up and clean up all the sewage of the galaxy so that the Federation can be the happy thing that's meant to be. But it requires monsters to lurk in the dark so that Romulans don't get away and Klingons don't get away with their bullshit and the Obsidian Order doesn't get away with its bullshit. Everyone can rest easy because 31 is in the shadows knifing everybody. When you see him cover that badge back up and he withdraws it, it all starts clicking into place for you, Sol. Wolf 359 being let out of the Daystrom Institute. The obsessive work on these Borg, studying the nanotech. Of course 31 came and recruited him. He's perfect. You see recognition in the Orion's eyes as they look up at you.
So, I will happily follow your lead for this, Captain. But I am going to need access to whatever data and whatever information you've pulled over how to reprogram Borg nanites. I will happily share some of that with your crew, of course, but after this, you never speak of what happened down here or myself again. Keep it quiet. Captain.
Of course, Doctor.
And with that, you are in command.
That's a perfect button to call our break because it's 8 o'clock. Hi, Tal.
Lonnie. Hi, everybody.
I'm so excited.
I miss you.
Thank you so much for joining us tonight. It's so exciting to have you back.
Oh,
it's been so long.
It's been so long.
It was Calypso 6 the last time we were able to throw dice together.
I
Man.
think it was the Christmas special, wasn't it?
Yeah, Christmas.
Oh, it was the Christmas special. That's right. Oh, God, the
You
Christmas.
brought me up a day.
Yeah. Oh, man.
Oh,
yeah.
four
Those are
times.
Yeah.
First table we've been at together.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure to be at a table with you. This is fun.
Exactly. There we go.
Before we
Feel
go
free to
on
bust my
break, I did tell our mods that we were having a guest tonight, and on behalf of the mods, I've been asked to tell you that the Wednesdaisy sends you all of their love.
Oh, hi. Miss you all.
How come every time I play with you with Star Trek, Taliesin, I get to wear a shiny dress? Like,
Honestly, to be fair, most times we're in a
Right, yeah.
room together, you're wearing a shiny dress.
that's
It's
true.
kind of
That's true. Yeah, fair.
Kind of your signature move, blinding the
All right.
opposition.
We're going to take a 10-minute break. We'll be back in 10 minutes. Don't go anywhere, folks. We got a Federation embassy to break into. We'll see you in just a minute.
So excited.
Welcome back, everybody, to Clear Skies. We're back from our break. We are joined, of course, for those of you who don't know, this is... I'm sorry, I forgot. Taliesin Jaffe, I think is your name.
That first part was exactly how I was referred to anytime we had a substitute teacher, and you're that's how it's pronounced. So
Yeah. I just remembered your name when I first met you as Tal Lies Sin.
it's fair.
Yeah. That's how I remember to spell it every single time.
You got the word lies and sin in there in the same thing. That's auspicious.
You
Much
can't
as I can
spell
get away with
Taliesin
these
without
days.
sin.
He is an immortal. We'll just accept it.
Well, we've covered
Not my
a
first
fair
pandemic.
number of lies. That just leads us to sin, shall we?
So, we can jump back into tonight's game where we last left off. A big secret had been revealed. Azri found out who it was that they were dealing with. The rest of the crew is still a little bit uncomfortable, having basically been unmasked. Not just unmasked, but thoroughly unmasked having your personnel files. I mean, Lacat, your fucking grades from the finals are on that goddamn file. Like,
She's seriously considering, like, how do we do this and then also erase those files? Like, there's plotting happening.
Yeah.
But so Prowls is the only one that didn't show up, right?
Prawl, and of course Slabaz have not shown up on that, and of course Sorex has not popped up on that.
Sorex only in theory popped up. There was no name, there was no information, just that Sorex.
Yeah, just that he was kind of unidentified. Like, and of course,
Prawl
hasn't said much, and he's completely masked. The only thing that indicates it's pretty much a guarantee that he's Federation, especially because he's the one that's carrying Federation equipment, along with the Federation emergency signal if necessary.
This group, yeah.
But and Keel, it's not a leap of logic to say, okay, that's probably the actual bodyguard here. That's probably the security officer, the one that's not saying anything, and then the one that's got the big weapon on his back, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, it's the drink of water. Yeah.
You do your scans did detect that he was a joined Trill, though. You do see that he is a host, so that he is joined. But aside from that, and you also detect your medical scan would tell you the pigmentation. He is albino, so he does have all the coverings on him to protect him from the outside and everything else.
Mm-hmm.
So you're getting a sense that one of the reasons why he's masked up like this is for protection and not necessarily to try to intimidate people.
Gotcha.
And so we come back with everybody here in the medical facility. Diane is processing the scans that you have asked them to process. They are actively scanning all of the Borg nanites. What you're seeing already come back on the scans, Dr. Keel, is that these nanites look like they are the communications that they may have with the collective is inert, or it's not active. It doesn't look like that they are capable of actually contacting the collective.
It would already be far too late if that were true anyway. So.
Probably, yes. It would probably have already happened by now.
These will be very, very helpful. Very helpful. Huh. And it doesn't look like these are going to interfere with surgery as it goes. We'll see, but tough call at this point.
Yeah. Hard to say, really. But what you're detecting is that these nanites apparently hold the regenerative qualities that most nanites have. Nanites do impose a rapid healing when they are subject to a certain energy-like process, usually in a regeneration alcove. Sure. Nanites help repair biological wounds a lot faster than normal. You're not sure necessarily if this would interfere with surgery, because it looks like these nanites, through the rather impressive workings of Macrel, it seems like these nanites are actually designed specifically to repair the brain, and it doesn't seem like they would respond to, say, like white blood cells might respond if they detected a disease.
Gotcha. All right. That's good.
Yeah.
All right. Let's get the device and get to the embassy. Why don't we? Or at least I'm ready to go. So
we have everything we need, and probably better to keep this among ourselves and not to get Etiva involved.
Etiva will
Anything we need to know about this facility?
Well, I've kind of kept my distance for reasons. Can't be feel it would have raised suspicions. I don't want to poke around in anything that might. I try and keep kind of on the straight and narrow out here. Only really pull attention when I have to. And being a little afraid of a reasonable Federation building seems to be a good way to do that. But I have you now, so that helps quite a bit. There's a lot more.
If all you needed was them, you hear Sorex kind of weakly say, as he's being ministered to by Macrel. He just says, I'm happy remaining here under the watch of your Diane while I recover. And communicate directly with Etiva to arrange the delivery of the body.
Can I do a medical roll to see what's wrong with Sorax? Is it?
You wouldn't have to roll. I'll go ahead and make a roll, but I would say difficulty 0, so you guys can build some momentum.
Okay.
Because you have made it to the break with no momentum.
Exactly.
So
it's one of the reasons I want.
Let's definitely fix that.
Okay. Obviously, 3 successes.
Okay, so gain 3 momentum. It looks like it's a standard issue. The travel, the heat, the fact that he hasn't had water recently, and the stress, and then he had 4 vials of blood drawn right just then and there. He's kind of in that sort of fugue state where, after having blood drawn rather rapidly, he needs to sit down and rest.
Okay. I was just
It's
making
nothing
sure.
serious.
I was
Yeah.
making sure I wasn't missing anything. You know, like
That's legit. Yeah, no, it's nothing serious apparently.
So it's all right if he stays behind. We'll be able to. Is there a possibility I could perform remote surgery if with the equipment, or would I have to come back to?
Remote surgery. You'd have to come. You would have to enact the. If you were going to perform surgery, you would definitely need to do it on the bed here in your lab.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, and if you want, we can leave them here if that works for you. I have no problem. They'll be safe.
It'll raise a little less attention. I know we're already bringing enough with us. Romulan will... Or who is there, exactly? Is there still a Federation presence on Nimbus 3?
No, I don't think so. No, probably not. I'm not sure. Maybe. Probably not.
All right.
I haven't ever actually been there.
Fair enough.
Diane.
Yes, doctor.
Initiate aftercare protocol 12 for our Romulan friend here. Hydration. I think we have a cookie somewhere in the back. Have them sit down and prep for surgery.
Initiating. It sounds so unfriendly to you, Macrell. This Borg AI just seems to have this ambience of menace, even though it seems to be performing exactly this compassionate order that's been given. You do see that in the back room, along with a stash of supplies, you can hear the telltale signs of what you would suspect a not top of the line replicator activating, and the whirring sound of water being formed. Just
as I hear that, I'm gonna yell at the back. He likes snickerdoodles. Make sure it's the right kind of cookie. If you're gonna, as
Diane,
a doctor, I would know this.
Diane, you heard the cat.
Honestly, Lacat, like that's what Lacat needed.
I would like to earn a value. Just kidding.
Do I notice that you're upset? Did you actually make a face?
Yeah. I probably hissed at you, actually.
Dr. Cat.
I mom-armed the lieutenant.
And then I'm just going to turn to the captain. It's like, Captain, are you sure that we can trust this doctor?
I'm sure that we can work with him.
Then on your command, Captain.
What
was that, Raveny?
That's a very low bar, Captain.
Well, it's the bar that we need today.
Wonderful. We should probably scout out to see if there's any presence of the Federation within this embassy.
Or anyone.
See what who we're exactly dealing with, since our doctor has been in no way helpful in that capacity.
In all honesty, it's not the Federation that we should be worrying about to see in there.
That.
All right.
Move on up. We'll stay a little farther back as you scout, but we'll move together. I don't want to split us too much.
Prawl at this point steps forward, moves over to you, Azuri, and just says, now that the cover's blown, Captain, I don't feel safe leaving the Romulan here with him. I don't know who this guy is. If he's former Federation, then to me, that's even less of a reason to trust him.
Today is not about trust. Today is about people we are working with. And I assure you, his credentials are adequate.
Prawl, even though he is fully masked, you've looked into those pink eyes before, those pale eyes, enough to you can picture that look that he's probably giving you on the other side, where he is frustrated and as he's in agreement with you. And just as a mannerism that you have become accustomed to, after that beat of quiet, he gives a nod and takes a step back.
I imagine over his shoulder, I catch Keel's eye.
Keel's eyes are going everywhere. He looks like he's constantly scanning the room. He's looking at everybody's body movements. He looks like he's absorbing information every time he glances in a direction.
Yes.
Sorry.
Yes, Captain.
I'm gonna come with you.
I'm sorry, when our lizard god said that he wanted to come with us, was he indicating towards the captain or was he indicating towards Prawl and I?
He's kind of saying it around to the lot of you, but he's indicating towards the captain.
Copy.
Assuming our host is amenable, I'd rather you stay with Mr. Sorex, just in case someone decides to be disruptive in our doctor's absence.
13 phasers. 13 phasers.
Oh,
Only
no.
11.
I was lying. They're not there.
Damn it.
You'll have plenty of time to look and be sure.
Diane, keep our guests happy. Feel free to use basic protocols and alert them if anybody's coming towards the building. And if they run into any problems, open up the first 2 sub-basements for them. Thank you.
You see, Sabaz, you heard this. First of all, you hear the dark, there's a flickering of the power in the building as the orders are being received and implemented. And you hear this chirping of acknowledgement coming from the AI. Sabaz looms over you, Azarine says,
Don't like sitting around doing nothing. You want me to guard a brain-damaged Romulan?
You see the eyes narrow as he glances in Sorex's direction.
That seems a disrespectful way to address him. His name is Clarence.
If you need things to do, the kitchen needs cleaning. It'll take your mind off of anything. It would make me happy.
Gonna go back to the ship. My job is to make sure baby gets back in one piece, not a babysitter.
Where is the ship vis-a-vis Etiva and Embassy? I'm trying to figure out if I can post him at a point where I could deploy him in various directions as needed. Basically make him our rapid response.
It's kind of in a triangle formation. So there is the ship itself is located just outside the city, but it's in kind of like equidistance from. Do you know what I mean? Like y'all are in kind of a triangle formation.
No, this is perfect. Yes. Go back to Terraza's baby. Worst case, we can call you in for air support.
Okay.
Thank you.
As Slabaz moves out the door, Prawl waits for him to be gone, and he says, "Don't get me wrong, I don't have a problem with the Gorn, but we can't forget, he's not necessarily our friend."
And he's not coming with us on this very delicate mission, is he?
No, sir, he is not.
We have a small group. We can keep this quiet. We can keep this efficient. Let's be about it.
Right.
Aye, Captain.
As we leave, I'm just gonna look up and go, Diane,
Yes, Doctor.
I appreciate your care, but if any harm comes to my patient, I will rip off your proteins beyond nanite repair.
And then I'm just going to smile really big at Dr. Keel.
She doesn't
Big
respond
tooth.
well to threats. I mean, really, I've been working on it. I've been trying to make it so that it's part of her AI function. I've been having a real time with it.
It was not a threat.
Just
It was a promise.
That would be hard to rebuild.
All right. Okay, so the lot of y'all, you get a nod from Sorex, who's leaning up. Sorex, as you're leaving, the last thing you see, Azri, as you glance back, as Sorex is just sitting there in the chair, like half shrouded in the dark of the facility and half cast in the bright green ambient glow of the Borg AI that's connected to the wall unit. And he's biting into a snickerdoodle and just looking at you.
As long
with
as it got
this,
that
like,
cookie.
This expression on his
Replicator.
face of like, how the hell did we get here? As he just takes a bite, you just see the incredulous look. I mean, as a Romulan with those eyebrows and that forehead, he has a very expressive demeanor. And he doesn't hide like, I'm in your hands. He just kind of just takes the bite out of the cookie and looks at you and shakes his head.
I shrug with the, you and I both know this isn't even in the top 10 silliest things that we as intelligence officers have had to do.
Yeah.
And then I trounce out in my leather harness and my high boots. Out
Meanwhile,
to do,
back on the
B&E.
USS Ross in phaser control, during a critical moment, a holographic goose runs across the hallway. And then we cut back to what's happening on Nimbus 3. All right. The Federation Embassy, it's a good thing you know that that's what this is supposed to be, because if you were wandering through the streets of Paradise, you would never know that you were passing by a building that was once a focal point for Federation diplomacy. In fact, what you see is that this embassy looks like it was a building that was meant to house all three government officials. The last time you ever read about Nimbus 3, Azri, indeed all of you who've been in Starfleet, because as you're becoming officers, some of the great events, the events of the past 200 years, are made to study in like hostage negotiations and those kinds of things. An event took place here about over 100 years ago on Nimbus 3. The last time this place ever even made mention, involving one James T. Kirk and the USS Enterprise, when the embassy staff was taken hostage by a rogue Vulcan, apparently. You see the very building that took place in as you're moving past it. It looks like it's some kind of bar, and it looks run down, like the ceiling's probably falling in. But not too far from behind it, you can see the multi-leveled building that once served as an embassy. Now, just from glancing at it, the four of you can tell that this building has been co-opted into what looks like some kind of housing unit, which isn't surprising, especially considering, again, the poverty of this place. There's a lot of people that are crowding into here, probably sleeping in the hallways as much as those who are lucky to actually have found quarters. But that's not what grabs your attention. What grabs your attention is there looks like there is a lower level, like outside, that descends on a ramp into the dirt to what would, for us in the modern age, we would probably identify like, oh, a parking garage. but instead looks like it actually descends down into a secured-looking double door that looks like it's just metal fatigue and rust has covered most of it. You can clearly make out a Federation symbol on the metal door itself. It's out in the open and not being hidden. Azri, your guess is that at one point this whole place is fenced off, and that this ramp going down to these double doors was probably once a secure location, but now is probably just relying upon its encoding and the fatigue to the doors to keep closed.
Do I see good cover to send Prawl and Lacat on a scout?
Let's make a roll. That's a good question. I think that's going to be a roll. Let's find out.
Also, does this count as a new scene? Do we lose a momentum?
Yes, thank you for reminding me. This is definitely a new scene.
Man, shouldn't have said anything.
Yeah, that's what you get. I'm going to say roll a insight security check.
Sure.
Can I assist on this one?
Actually, if you want, you can order Prawl to do it, and then she can assist on it.
Yeah.
All right. Let me roll for Prawl then.
So that's just a quick eye cut to Prawl,
Yeah.
like your thing. What do you see?
I'm setting the difficulty at 2. Go ahead and make your. So for Lacat, you're going to roll insight and command. The difficulty is 2.
Command?
For
Hey.
yes, for Lacat, yes. 1 success.
No, I rolled a 1.
Oh, critical success.
Yeah.
Okay. So you got 2 successes. Prawl got 2 successes. So gain 2 momentum to your pool. Immediately, you what you notice is when you glance over at Prawl, Captain, you see that he has already started scoping out the area. And Lacat just instinctively, because this place, the landscape is very similar to what Cardassia Prime looked like after the Dominion hammered it.
Also, because of the poverty, it's very similar to the city of Lacat.
Right. Yeah.
So that's what she's thinking of right now. And so I would say that this whole, like, she's paying more attention than she usually would in that way, because she feels like she has a connection to this place already.
Okay. With those successes, glancing around, there are plenty of places around here that could be good for cover and for ambushes, both for and against you guys. This is a crumbling urban setting. And from what you can tell, if you were moving into hostile territory, you'd all be in big trouble right now. But as it stands, no one seems to stop you, and you don't get an instinct of any immediate threat. And Prawl looks at you and says, "What do you think? Maybe that corner over there?"
Yeah, I was looking at that overhang over there, and it seems that either someone could be hiding behind it, or it could be a good place for us.
Why don't I take the overhang?
Copy. You are taller.
You're really good at sneaking up at people and stunning a mass of them at one shot anyway, right?
I'm glad someone understands my genius on this team. And
I got to see it firsthand. You just bump him a little bit.
And we still do have comms on we still do have connecting each other great, even if it's not necessarily our federation. Okay. And so Lacat is going to go ahead and circle around. She'd like to do it without seeming too suspicious. But remember when we basically arced around and created that ambush on that planet for... God, I'm blanking on the name right now. But basically, Prawl and I before, and
in the quarantine zone, that. God, when we made a game about the quarantine zone, we had no idea.
No idea.
So we circle around.
All our fault.
Circle around. But I think that like Lacat would also like to keep an eye out for like any particular threats. Like she's not. She wants to see who's really going in and out of this place, if it really is just people using this as a housing unit, or if the housing unit is a cover for something else.
Okay. So Prawl nods to you, Captain. And when Prawl moves away, you can tell he's in his element. You know that this is a veteran of the Dominion War. You know he was a sharpshooter in the Dominion War. He's currently decked out. He's probably served on a world like this, but just like Lacat, he knows the terrain and he moves. And you see him move. You can see the slight bulge of that phaser rifle on underneath the shoulder cloth that's like kind of wrapped around him, almost like a cape behind him, covering his back as he's moving off like a Star Trek version of Batman. Just kind of ascends into what looks like a rock face, a crumbling building, and vanishes. Lacat, to her own credit, kind of does the hands in pockets whistling thing, except for not obvious, and begins to just blend in rather skillfully, walking into the crowd and just keeping an eye out. There are people moving to the streets. Lacat, everything you see from these people, they look tired, hungry, and they look like they're desperate to hide from the elements. You do occasionally see some shady characters that look like they might prey upon the weak. You've spotted their like many a time. Cardassian. One of the rough things about Cardassia Prime was in the aftermath of it, before the Federation and everybody brought in relief supplies, people started falling upon each other. Families started attacking families for resources. There were some dark days in the aftermath of the nuclear holocaust, as it were, that was unleashed upon Cardassia Prime. And as you're moving around, you can see those same predatorial eyes glancing at some of the members of the crowd as you're moving around.
So she definitely wants to keep a tab on those people, but how difficult does actual access to this building look?
It's hard to say, but if you had to guess, walking right up to the door and trying to access it is not going to be a problem.
Okay.
If no one has been able to get inside, possible. If no one's been able to get inside, it's because either no one's been able to crack the code or no one has equipment to wedge the doors. It's hard to say.
So no one's actually going in and out of the building?
No. Well, the embassy, yes, but the area that you guys are trying to get into, which is like the bunker area, again, this was originally supposed to be a secured area and is probably designed to protect the ambassadors in the case of emergency. It does have an access port outside, which is what you guys are looking at. There's no longer a wall or a fence around this place. This building is over 100 years old.
Copy. So Jane would like to definitely relay all that information to her to her captain as well as the rest of the team. And I think that she's going to try her best to wander closer to see if she can get a look at the actual security system of this thing.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. So as a lot of you are moving closer...
if there's any way she can, accidentally drop something and have it roll closer to the door so that she has an excuse to walk on over, she would love to do that.
In truth, because it is at the bottom of the ramp, it's not difficult to drop something and then have to walk all the way down to try to activate it.
She's what does Jane even have on her? Jane's wearing pretty Spartan clothing. She's not like she's gonna drop her phaser and let it roll down the hill.
Or her phaser. Or her phaser.
Yeah. Or her phaser.
Yeah.
Her phaser. Maybe she's got to drop her. You know what? She drops her phaser. Let's go.
You're like, well, I would never do that. Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, let's do it. Not like she's gonna lose a shoe. Apparently Jane's making bad choices. She rolled a 20. That 20 is still affecting the rest of this game.
Can't make an omelet.
Okay.
Oh no, her phaser rolls away from her.
No. Okay, Rave, if you want to make this appear like it was an accident, this is not going to be easy.
Okay, great.
So I'm going to have you roll for it.
Please.
Okay, so what am I going to have you roll for this? I'll have you roll, I'm going to have you roll control plus command. And if you have any
deception or focuses that
take a momentum, you can use mine if you
don't.
don't.
I got 3 successes. I got a 1 and I got a 2.
I was about to say, do you have a focus in clumsy?
I have a focus in survival.
Just so happens
take the momentum. I have the collaboration talent, and you'll use my deception focus, so that will also be a crit.
Perfect.
Okay, so 4 successes.
What was the difficulty?
Oh well, the difficulty was 2, so I guess it's 2 successes.
Great.
Oh no,
So,
I'm sorry. This is a difficult roll.
momentum.
This would have been a challenge rating 3. Yeah.
All right, then we'll get 1 momentum back.
You'll get 1 momentum. This is going to be a difficult roll. So challenge rating 3 on that. And it's Dr. Keel, you see it at the same time that Captain Sull sees it. And you're not 100% sure if the Cardassian meant to do that, but you watch the Cardassian look like she notices something. She pulls her phaser, and it just goes cartwheeling through the air, like somebody, like one of those comic old westerns where the joke is the cowboy pulls the gun too fast and it just flies straight up. Like you watch her just like flip this thing, and it goes hurtling down this ramp and disappearing, basically landing clattering in front of the door that you guys are eventually meant to go to. And you see her look around like, oh, and immediately disappear down the ramp as she charges down there.
And she charges down. So as she is gathering her phaser, as she is checking it, what kind of security protocols are we seeing on this door? Is it just a basic data pad? And if so, does that data pad even look active?
Actually, you know what I'm going to do?
Yeah.
Because here's the thing. I've run into a narrative inconsistency.
Okay.
When the scans were taking place, it was indicated that nobody but Prawl had a phaser on them.
Oh, shit. You're so right.
However,
but she had a gun, or she had.
That's
some kind
right.
Of weapon.
However, there was a disruptor. So let's just change the nomenclature there. So it's not a phaser.
So I have a deadlier weapon, is what you're saying.
You have a deadlier weapon, essentially.
Because there's an escalation cost with that.
It does not have the safety protocols that a phaser does.
Okay, great.
So as you flip the disruptor, it clatters at the ground down there. Good thing you didn't roll any complications. You run up to it. What are you going to do, Lacat? You're now at the door. You do see what looks like a panel that has been attempted to be accessed quite a bit, but to no effect. It looks like people have tried to wedge their way into the security panel. It looks like people have scratched at it. It's in poor shape.
But it looks like just basic data pad. You know what? She'd like to kind of like stand next to it, examine her phaser, and then maybe like bump an elbow in order to activate the touchpad. Basically, she like surreptitiously try and see like what she's dealing with here.
So you move over, and if there's one thing you can say is that Federation engineering is built to last. As you touch this pad, it immediately goes, and you see LCAR system light up on it, which is a system that is somewhat modern.
Yeah.
Not consistent with the age of the building.
Right. She's gonna go ahead and let her captain know that it's an LCAR system. Seems like we might be able to get in if we try hard enough. But there's definitely something protecting this. And I'm
gonna need you to make another roll here.
Right, please do.
All right. The LCAR system, something with that. I'm going to need you to make a reason engineering check.
Oh boy, I'm so bad at engineering. This is not what that's saying. She's like, maybe I should send someone else over.
Difficulty is 2.
Oh, sweet Jesus. Can she use sensors?
No.
No? Okay, then
You
she gets
haven't
one.
on a value this game yet. You want to throw down a value?
Can I use my captain's, the fact that the captain ordered me to do this?
Did the captain order you to do this?
No, the captain didn't order me to do this. The captain ordered me to scout the captain. So I'm trying to do my best to scout. That's the best.
Order me to do this.
No, I got 1 success. She gets 1 success.
So with 1 success, you're not able to understand why, but it strikes you as that's not right. This shouldn't be LCARs. LCARs didn't exist when this building was built, and the systems that were installed in this building were not using LCARs when it was created. This building's over 100 years old. LCARs started coming about around 30 plus years ago.
So basically, Captain, it seems that someone was here before us. So there's that. And I think that, man. Okay, so Dr. Keel, any chance you have any capabilities hacking this, Captain? They might be our best opportunity to get through this.
This is not really
considering my skill set, considering McCrell's skill set, considering
in all honesty, I think our captain may have the best skill set.
Oh, for a captain. Shit, that's right. You have a really high engineering captain.
What was that?
Oh, sorry. Nothing, Captain. And she's gonna go off comms.
On the comms, you heard the voice of Yuri Prawl say, "Team, could we stop calling Azari Sol Captain while we're in the city, please?"
Can we stop using that name over comms? Thank you. Let's move up. Join the lieutenant.
Okay, you all begin to move up. At this point, as you approach the door, you're starting to see what Lacat is seeing. You have been at this door numerous times, Dr. Keel. You've never actually seen that entry pad light up.
Well, that's weird.
Any idea why there would be L-cars on this door?
Is Prawl hanging back?
Yeah, he's eyes in the sky in a sniper.
You're not sure where he is, but yeah.
Right, so he's keeping an eye on our back.
Yep,
Perfect.
He's our angel. But no, I'm watching Keel's reaction.
This is new to me. I've never even seen this thing turn on before. This is, that's weird. That's weird.
Insight check.
Okay. Are you insight checking? You're insight checking Dr. Keel?
Yeah. I mean, professional courtesy. You understand.
On this, I don't know if this is a thing I can assist you on, but
I'm guessing you're not actively resisting this. Would you say that's accurate? Okay. So in that case,
weird to actively resist this shit.
In that case, I'm gonna say this is a difficulty 1 check.
Okay, perfect.
Yep.
I'll take a momentum for cautious. We're down to 3. I have my focus, and that's, let's see, 3 successes. It looks like. So
3 successes.
Us back up to 5 momentum now.
Okay. You glance over at Dr. Keel. Dr. Keel looks both fascinated and genuinely confused.
I'm trying to see if
was definitely,
yeah. If
okay,
anyone's
so genuine.
like if anything's been pried loose, or if this has been upgraded by somebody who isn't like what is going on.
If you want to make I would say make a reason engineering check. Oh, but hold on. You get an auto success for this because we're using reason. So the difficulty on this is 3. So you get an auto success. You need 2 successes. So roll reason security.
Reason security, and okay, so that's and 2d20. That's 14, and I rolled a 3 and a 13.
Okay, so 3 successes. You look at this, glance it over. That brilliant, keen mind of yours, it picks up things that other people would miss, the subtle details, things that are seen in the dust, things that are seen on the side of the panel. Someone has definitely been here recently. And that L-cars was probably installed so that it could be used to access the inside of this facility.
This is new. This is very new. Someone's been in here recently. Someone's doing something in here.
Wonder who's been on the planet. I'll see if maybe I can pull anything from the firmware in this. There might be a signature from it. Tell us a little more about whether this was authorized or whether this was a third party.
That's what I was going to say. We need to know if Federation installed this or if someone installed it to make it look like Federation installed it.
I would like to do a hack now. I know
okay.
Well,
we finally get
back
to
at my table and I'm doing hacks. Okay, cool.
This is my fault.
Okay, so what stats do we have you roll for that?
You had Rue role control security back in the day.
That would make sense. Yes. Control security.
Okay.
Yep.
Do we want to put my?
I will accept engineering.
They're both the same for me.
Okay, great.
They both, will my clandestine fit into this?
Yes.
Yeah, thank you.
Yep.
Let's see. It's here. What's the difficulty?
Okay, remind me exactly what you're trying to achieve. You're trying to find out who's done this or what the information is?
I'm gaining entry. If I succeed on that, because that is necessarily a software override, I'm foreseeing some obtained information in my future.
Okay.
So the focus is on hacking the software.
Okay, so the difficulty to get inside is 1.
All right. Cool.
That's way too suspicious. I don't like that at all.
No.
But take a momentum, Captain, please.
I absolutely will, and as I say, obtain information is in our future. Oh, okay. That's 2, 4 successes. So that'll be 3, which will get
bank that momentum
to 2 and 1 overflow, which will be perfect for the obtained information.
You tap the console, and as you're looking for the root code, so what you begin to spot is that this computer is archaic. It was created during a time where Constitution-class starships were still flying in the stars, where Warp 7 was considered one of the fastest speed starships could travel. And only the most advanced starships. This is before the warp speed scale had to be revised for modern engines. The LCARs on here have been installed for accessibility. Somebody very recently was able to somehow successfully overlap the old operating system for security in order to gain a conversational access with the main computer that should be powered down. There's also something unique about the LCARs. It looks slightly modified and different. You're not entirely sure what it is. But as you're glancing over it, something about the intuitive way in which the access junction points across the pad itself, they're not placed necessarily quite the way they normally would. And there's also the fact that even though this pad is ancient, the way the LCARs responds to your touch almost seems a little more intuitive than your standard LCARs. It's unusual, to say the least.
All right, so with my obtained information, bonus momentum, this was built and then installed. With whose kind of operating system was it originally intended to interface when it was programmed? Like
Federation.
All right, and because I'm studious, I'll get an additional question from that.
Yep.
Hello, new talent. What might I find out about that Federation code? About a ship or mission signature, a name on it?
You would, first of all, I'll give you this. The fact that it exists on this operating system is like somebody came along and installed a Corvette engine in a rusted Volkswagen that didn't work anymore. And to integrate that kind of technology in order to gain access to the inside of the doors is both a little out of... It's both a little bizarre, but it's also, to your mind, your abilities, your knowledge of what it would take to hack a system, the feat that would require is extraordinary. You've never heard of anybody coming along and installing, upgrading a system entirely based off the root code of an original Federation operating system, overlapping an ancient Federation operating system, and using that to suddenly become compatible with a 100-plus-year-old system to gain access to said system. That should technically not be possible, or would require a team of software engineers.
This is quite a job. It would require an extraordinary mind to create this kind of interface. Getting in was surprisingly easy, but putting it together must have been very impressive.
Why? Why?
Good question. Anyway, we're in. Boop, boop, ba-doop. Ooh.
You open it up.
Yeah.
The doors just swing open suddenly. Just they slide open right in front of you. It happens in a blink. All of you see it. It lasts for maybe all of 2 seconds. The light cascading into the doorway gives way to the fact that this place has power. You see a large room filled with crates, probably exactly what Dr. Keel is looking for. It looks like an emergency bunker of some kind, with multiple doors that come swinging open to you. And as you glance inside and you see this big storage facility, this underground place that supposedly should not have been accessed, you catch the glimpse for a brief second of a Vulcan woman standing a little over 5, maybe 5'6" or so, dark hair, in unusual clothes that look like banded. It looks like a black full banded bodysuit from the neck all the way down, no insignia, completely covered in head to toe. And if you didn't know any better, you would say this Vulcan looked rather surprised to see you suddenly opening the door. And in the blink of an eye, upon spotting her, you see the arc of the eyebrow and a sudden flash as a portal goes and she's gone.
Well, I was not expecting that. I'm not sure what I was expecting, but I was not expecting that.
There's a popping sound that causes a jump behind you as the computer console pops and sparks. And lights in the facility flicker and go.
Well, that's great.
Let's move in quickly.
Yeah, let's move in.
Pick up the supplies that you need, doctors. Lacat, on me. We're going to see if we can pull anything from this system's hard drive. It had power up until a couple moments ago, which means that it has logs and internal sensors that might be able to tell us a little more about who in the star's name that was, and
that wasn't exactly where they went.
I didn't recognize that person at all, right?
No, you've never seen that person before either. And the uniform, for a split second, your mind went to Section 31, but that didn't look like a 31 uniform.
All right.
It looked way different. But it was the first instinct to kind of jump to your mind, yeah.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, now you first.
I was saying, as a Cation, I have a very good eyesight in the dark. Is there anything I can determine before we can put power back on? Or?
Enough of the sun's light is cascading into here that you can actually see everything perfectly. While everybody else is probably activating a light and moving in. Glancing around, this place looks like it's been untouched. You see the supplies are still here. You can see the Federation marker, the medical supplies. Now, Dr. Keel, you know that a lot of these medical supplies are old. But medicine, even though that it's advanced as far as it has in the past 100 years, some of this stuff is just priceless. There's still dermal regenerators here that are worth having, even if they're far out of date. This is medical supplies the Federation is not going to miss. That's going to do a lot of good in this place.
Nice. This is good. Well, we're going to have to load up as much of this as we can. Doctor, if you'll just help me figure out what's useful. And then here's the specific stuff I need for your friend.
Getting the list?
Yeah.
Okay, while you guys are doing that, Sol and Lacat, you guys are investigating?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so tell me specifically what y'all are doing.
Yeah, so this is a Federation facility. It seems to be fairly high level, and there may or may not be enough power that we can interface with the computers directly right now. We may need to, but I want to see if we can interface with the hard drives, see what we can pull from internal sensor logs to tell us specifically more about this person, what the sensors think just happened. I have suspicion, but like...
Okay, you move over.
I hate those particular suspicions.
The power in this place is flickering. It does have internal sensors, but when you move over to the computer console, you're back to using old school Federation computer readouts. You do see the console is kind of flickering with power. It does have active sensors. It is going to be a tough roll. This is going to be a difficulty 4 roll to use the sensors of this place. And I'm going to spin threat.
Right.
To raise the complication range by 3. So nothing too bad.
What kind of role do you see this as? Security, engineering? What do you want?
That's a good question, actually, because this could be a number of things. I might actually say this is going to be... Yeah, I think control engineering works the best here.
Please take as much momentum as you wish.
I'll take a point. I have my MacGyvering focus.
Okay. Your MacGyvering focus.
Yeah, can I use my sensors focus on this one?
Yes, absolutely. Trying to use internal sensors?
Yeah.
All right. Test your might.
I'll take a momentum, so we're at 5.
Okay.
Control engineering, I roll a 16 or below. I'm rolling with focus. Oh, that's so tasty. And I don't have cautious engineering, so it's perfect. That'll be 2 successes from me, one from Lacat. You said it was 4?
Difficulty is 4.
Oh, dang. Then I do need to use my determination for a reroll to succeed, and I don't get to keep this lovely complication. This is what you did this to yourself.
And can I use a talent here? Can I use my suspicious by nature because I'm looking for? Does this count as looking for traps?
No, it wouldn't come into play here.
Okay.
Sensors would. Your sensors focus comes into play here. Yeah.
Right, but I'm using the discipline I'm using is my engineer.
Oh, yeah.
My lowest discipline. Yeah.
No, it wouldn't come into play here.
Yeah, so I'd like to use there's always something beneath the surface, and I'm going to reroll this die.
Okay. Make your roll.
Yeah, and now it is a success, so we're at 4 and no complications anymore.
Okay. You managed to get a little bit of those internal sensors going. The sensors here have been fluctuating for ages now. And it looks like it's like passive internal security systems that have just never shut down because the power source is good for another 200 years. As you're looking through the internal sensors, you're not detecting anything. You do not detect the presence of anybody else in the facility. And you don't, curiously enough, you do not detect that anyone was in this facility. You do, however, detect a massive influx of chronoton particles that are currently dispersing throughout the area.
I knew it. I hate it. Keel?
Yeah. I'll be right back.
Any reason that temporal agents be interested in your work for any reason? And I just shift the readout to show the chronoton search and give him the context.
Pretty much right where that young Vulcan woman was standing, you see what is now dissipating a pocket of chronoton particles, like a time shift just happened.
I mean, Yeah. Why?
Anything in particular?
I mean, I'm working on a lot of things. Anything that works out is, by its very nature, extremely valuable.
But they haven't knocked on your door until now.
Not that I know. I mean, to be fair, they are. I mean, chronoton particles, would I even know if they knocked on my door? I might not know. I mean,
Well,
who would?
she wasn't that good at hiding herself, so purely from tradecraft, you might have spotted someone suspicious.
Could be.
Anything you
Although,
remember?
again, it's a chronoton, so it's entirely possible that we'll forget it ever happened after a little while. It could have happened before, we don't even know. So no, I don't remember anything. But that might not be unusual. But yeah, my tech, sure. I'm working on some pretty amazing things.
Really?
Why else would I be in the middle of nowhere? Oh.
One does ask.
Well, it's safe. It's quiet. I don't normally get disturbed. So.
Are we allowed to ask questions about you and your work? I've
You're
never really
allowed.
interacted with
You're
you.
allowed to ask. Whether or not I can answer is a whole nother.
Jane clocks that, because what exactly does the captain mean by are we allowed? So now she's staring at the captain.
There's that slow Stewie look of just what is going on over there?
What is happening here? Who exactly is this guy that my captain is afraid to ask questions?
I am.
Why wouldn't we ask him questions, Captain?
Some types of work require discretion.
And since I can no longer, I was politely asked to leave my last lab. I stay out here so that I can work unencumbered. The work is important and must continue. Lacat. Lieutenant? Lieutenant, that's right. But yes, feel free, ask. If I can tell you, I will. You're already in my file.
I'm almost honored. Do you have contact with the rest of your network?
Rarely.
Recently?
No.
Anything that would have sent a flag up to...
This. This definitely, there was a flag. Possibly several flags, but this is a flag.
Mm.
You here, that's a flag. It's a big Federation flag.
I'm big. Are you near to something with this, your work? Some kind of...
Near, I've had successes. I'm building dozens of different prototypes. I've had three successes so far. Still trying to make everything else work. There's always something in the works. I've got a lot of things I'm working on. Personal technical technology cloaking, some forms of scrambling systems, auto shock systems that automatically redial to get through Borg shields, communication scramblers that specifically fry them, and the detonation patterns. I'm building a ton.
Almost makes me wonder if that Vulcan was here to watch you.
I doubt it.
I think you just gave us a pretty good laundry list that says otherwise.
Didn't rattle me.
Just trying to figure out why they're taking such an interest. It's... whether or not it was you. Otherwise, I have to conclude it was me, and honestly, we're not working on anything quite as interesting as what it sounds like you're doing.
I'm interesting enough that no one's really interested in it. I mean, most people even know my work know that it's far off and not really very useful yet. And
These ones are
You,
from
on
the
the other
future.
hand, well, you're the new thing, so I've been here forever. You're recent and active. I would be, well, it might be me. I feel that it would be helpful to you for you to assume that it's you. Because if it's me, then it doesn't matter. But if it's you, it does. I can handle my own.
I'm sure you can.
The whole time McCrell's on the other side of the room, just like with one ear, like perked, just kind of listening into, just like Cat's listening in, but I'm just a little further away going,
I've specifically also not mentioned any technology that actually works. So
Yeah, no, you have been an excellent vague bot, not actually detailing what it is that's going on.
Yeah, my caption clearly knows something that I don't know, and Jane's trying to figure that out because so far she's like, network. Who is this network that we're talking about? And that's all she is. She's clinging on to that. But
That Cardassian curiosity. You're like,
when we get back, if I put the word out, and if there's anything that you should know, I will let you know if there's something you should know. If I can.
Yes, I suppose you have ways of getting in touch, don't you?
We're all in this together.
I suppose so.
Are we?
Do you have what you need?
I've literally just collected everything. McCrell
Doctor,
has just like a pile.
Doctor, do we have everything?
Yes.
As long as there's nothing else that's catching the eye in here. Is there anything that's catching the eye in here?
There is. It looks like this was a safety bunker for ambassadors to retreat to until they were rescued. A lot of this place is just completely out of date.
And our friend didn't leave anything.
Right, exactly where she was, what was there, so we could work backwards what she might have.
That would be an obtain information spend.
Sure, let's do it.
Based off of your last scan.
Yeah, we have some momentum.
You, as you're listening to Dr. Keel talk, so you move over to where you saw the young woman, well, Vulcan, so presumably young, standing there before she vanished. I'm kind of just looking at the floor and glancing over. And you see there's one crate in front of you. Has the old Federation medical symbol on it.
What's in the box?
You move over to it. You slide it around and pop it open. And as you open it up, you see what looks like a year's worth of dermal regenerators and medical supplies. And these are not from 100 years ago.
Are they from now?
Yes.
Are they from very properly, very exactingly now?
These are from now. And it looks like they've been deliberately left here. Judging from the way they are organized and stacked on top of each other, they have been left inside of a box that may have been empty before, but medicine and looks like materials and whatnot have all been stacked inside of this containment unit.
Why would she look surprised?
That is odd, isn't it?
Looks like someone left you a present, Doctor.
This is great.
This wouldn't happen to be conveniently exactly what we needed, would it?
Conveniently, yes.
Yes.
Well,
Time's haunted.
Don't
It
look
is.
a gift tachyon in the mouth. And I'm going to pick it up.
Pick up the container.
no, we're not supposed to notice Santa if he appears.
Vulcans have Santa. Anyway.
The rest of this facility is pretty much abandoned and out of date. There's a couple of old like woolen blankets with the UFP logo on it, and most of it has peeled off. You can tell just by the way it's dated, by the way that the ink is printed on the top of this blanket. This is from another era, the way it's kind of degenerated a little bit inside of this facility. For the most part, you just see like artifacts of another time. Nothing of particular value, but just kind of fascinating to see it. A lot of the foodstuffs in here are still good. They are still enclosed in what looks like wrapped containers that have the ability to keep food fresh for well over a century.
I'm going to take just one of those
as
a souvenir for Tech because I think he would appreciate.
Oh
I bagged him a dog.
I would also
like doggy bag.
Friend, if there's an extra one.
That's exotic food right there. Hey, you want to eat Federation rations from over 100+ years ago?
He likes to eat things that are different, and I think he would appreciate. He doesn't even have to eat it. It's like a trophy.
Or a past from the past.
For his palate.
Yep.
A past palate.
Everyone's weird. That's fair.
Okay. Just like that, it was easy to get in here, and what you were looking for was waiting for you. Just like that. It leaves you, Sol, with you just get there's just the sense that someone's yanking your chain a little bit, and it doesn't feel good. Like there's a cosmic song being played, and someone's using you as one of their notes, and it doesn't feel great. It was too easy getting in. It was too easy getting the stuff. Keel, however, looks pleased as punch as he's dragging this stuff out along with Mackrell.
As we're heading back to his facility and like I'm helping him like drag this crate and stuff, I'm just gonna look at Dr. Keel and be like,
I don't fully trust you, and I really don't like you, but I do respect you. I used a lot of your research and saving Sorax's life, so thank you.
Oh, it's quite all right. I'm looking forward to reading your papers and anything else you feel like handing over. I would be eternally grateful for. This was he's an accomplishment. Well done.
Yes, but he's not an experiment for you to dissect. Just remember that, please.
I am aware of the parameters.
Thank
Besides, I don't really need any more meat from him anyway.
Yes. Just keep
pulling the crates.
Ravity, that is a reaction gift if ever I saw one. If ever I saw a reaction gift, that is... Fucking excuse me? Bat the eyes. Unless there's anything else, that's this scene. You guys acquire what you're here for.
Yes. Weirdly, we're done here.
Yeah. It's definitely forming a sense of disquiet. Like, what?
I've been set up by the future, yes.
In a world where shore leave is dangerous, this is terrifyingly easy. When you retreat from the facility, Prawl meets you on the streets and says, nothing. A couple of kids wandered by, and that was about it. They looked inside, no danger. I don't think anybody even knew we were here.
They'll find the food eventually. That'll go all right.
I'd like to walk alongside Mackrell on our way back.
Is y'all are headed back?
For our side.
Okay.
He is a cyberneticist. His collaboration could be useful to help. We won't read him in unless you think it's worth it.
If you fully trust this man, then I will fully cooperate. Because I trust you,
him at all.
Captain. Oh, well then fuck that. No, I'm just kidding. Never mind. But can we take that out? We'll fix that in post. No, I never said anything.
It's not a question of trust sometimes. Just like Sorix doesn't have to trust us, we just have to work together. If you think it is his value is worth it.
The difference is that he has no choice but to trust us. Right now, we are all he has.
Well, we are all he has. Are we enough? Or do we need him?
That's the dance we must play, Captain. Is that the right words? That's the... You'll tell me.
You're the expert. Can you do this alone?
I can, but I don't think I want to, Captain. I think what Dr. Keel can add to this, he might actually see something that I miss.
His capacity for reason does seem extraordinary. Alright, I'll read him in and we can see what he can do when we get back to his mad science lab. And I'll head on over to Keel.
I wish I had some tea.
There might be some replicated back at his place. It won't be you unless you...
No.
You bring it?
Not in this dress, Captain. I have no pockets. I have some on the ship, yes, but I can wait. It's fine, but
only
I have no pockets.
You don't have to tell me.
And this material is pathetic, and I just ripped the other side of it.
Okay, tearing the
I'm
other
just
side.
mad. I'm just like, this is not very reliable.
Keel?
Yes.
The chip in Sorix's brain, the one that was removed, it's allegedly implanted in all Talshiar operatives. Seem at least to be the highest level ones confirmed. It is an antitelepathic device. One can only assume there's some sort of Riemann politics in there somewhere, but it has the inevitable effect of scrambling the operatives' brains. The Talshiar either won't or can't fix that, and we haven't been able to tell which it is, though naturally you can understand why we would very much like to. That is what we are working with. That is what Macrell is trying to undo, and that is what we need your help with.
Is the chip still in there, or is it not?
The chip is gone. It's why we needed this fresh one, in effect. That way we could reverse engineer the mechanics of it. And figure out how to undo some of the damage by knowing exactly what it is and what mechanism of action interacted with the neurology in the first place.
Well, let's take a look at what you have, and let's see what we can do.
Well, I suppose now that you've promised weapons to... What exactly is she going to do with those weapons?
Oh, who knows? Local politics. That's mostly what it rolls down to.
I can't believe the
Your Starfleet is showing.
What isn't, Eric? So, that's what we have. And then from there, it's all science and engineering.
Well,
I'm decorative.
Let's take a look at what you have.
So, Rave, did I see that did you have something you wanted to do, or?
No, I was responding to Sam's. It's just science and engineering with a fe.
Well,
Gotcha.
the engineer...
Science and engineering.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so You get back to the lab and discover that Etiva's been here because when you arrive, the body is waiting for you. It's actually located in the middle of the lab, and you see Sorex is standing over it, looking at it very like he's deep in reflection as he's staring at this dead Romulan operative, a former member of the Tal Shiar, still in full uniform. And the look on Sorex's face as you all enter, he's having a moment. You can tell it's been here it probably only just arrived not too long ago. Without looking up, as everyone enters into the room, you all hear Diane's voice, "Welcome back, Doctor."
Mm-hmm.
While gone, you received a visit from Etiva the Crime Lord. We are still calling her a Crime Lord, Doctor.
Oh, yes, that's never changing. Let her know that we are better than square. We are cubed. This is perfect. I am very pleased.
I will inform her. Sorex is standing over this body. As you approach him, McCrell and Sull, he's looking at this body and he says, "So many of us are told when we are young that we are to inherit the glory of the galaxy, that it is our destiny as Romulans, and that the other race's destiny are to be subservient to us. We are conditioned to believe in our superiority from the moment we begin our training. But the Tal Shiar are different. We believe that we are even better than our fellows, that we've seen the truth. So much stupidity. So many lives taken and lost.
But not yours.
Not yet.
Hopefully
I
not
could have.
today.
He glances at you, and he nods. If you and your ambassador had not taken a chance on me, Captain, I would have been this man.
And we're making sure as few of your compatriots as possible have to go through this in the future. If you were conditioned, if you were fed those stories, and that caused you to be willing to put that in your... Operatives like you shouldn't be harmed in the line of duty like that. Not anymore. Not if we can help it.
I'm gonna look at Sorex and be like, I think there is a way to accomplish what we need to do without putting the chip back in your head. With Dr. Keel's help and perhaps the knowledge of his Diane, I feel if we use some of the information we incorporated with the nanites in your body with an adaptable neurotransceiver, we could adjust to where you would get those same pulses to your brain without the chip actually being activated in your head. Would you like that, preferably?
Without the chip, that would be ideal, yes.
Yes.
We may have to put something in there. It may happen. I'll try not to, but we may have to put something in there.
I was trying to make it seem like we had alternatives.
There are options, but we'll
Yes.
start at the best and work our way down.
Your bedside manner is wonderful, Doctor.
Most of the
Thank
people I
you.
work with
Oh.
are dead, so.
He glances at you, Captain, and as he nods to all of this, he just says, The only chance my people have at having peace is if a Romulan Senate is reinstalled as the center of power. Sela must be stopped. We have to find out what Mendak wants with me. I will do whatever it takes.
Did Mendak do this to you?
You know that... We don't know if Mendak... Why are you laughing?
Oh, you're completely fucked. I'll pull the chip out. That'll be fine. We'll fix that. Oh, Mendak, what a mess.
At least he knows our enemy.
And how are you related to Admiral Sela? God, that's hilarious. Oh, you must.
We don't know.
Wow.
Finally, I found a doctor with worse bedside manner than me. I'm
Yeah.
so pleased.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, mine's way better.
So were you caught working for Admiral Sela? Is that what happened? Is that why Mendak is like all over you?
I don't know. Why would Mendak be all over me for working for Sela?
Oh, I mean, it's he's been causing trouble for them for like nonstop lately.
Wait. Saul cocks their head to the side, and you see him stiffen a little bit and says, "What do you mean Mendak has been causing trouble for Sela?"
I feel like that was... I mean, that's... Anybody who's around, Mendak's been making trouble for a while now. I mean, that tech is, at least in the people I talk to, that tech is fascinating. It's actually related to some of the work I've been doing. I would kill to get a little bit of that if you ever come across
Shut
it.
up. Tell me. Are you telling me that Mendak and Sela are enemies?
Yes.
You said he was an honorable man when you told me about him, Zorax.
An honorable man, but driven by idealism. He could easily believe in Sela's cause. I thought they were together on this.
I have it on pretty good authority that is that is not the case.
Pretty good authority.
Put the
I'd say
puzzle
so.
pieces back together, and maybe you'll remember enough to find out.
Let's do this right now.
Let's try the hard way, and if it doesn't work, we will move on to the easy way.
So I'm assuming he has everything, files on all of us. So if I can just maybe be like, so he has our personal files too. So I could actually access my personal files through Diane, right?
You don't know the extent. The personal files that he has right now look like it's a list of like papers you've published, but not necessarily access to those papers, which is probably why he's asking you for them. It's sort of like a list of accomplishments, where you serve and what you are. You get the impression that it's like a snapshot database. He probably doesn't have in-depth personnel files on like who you are so much as where you serve and what your name is and what your rank is and what your that kind of
military record.
Exactly. Yeah.
And a bit
quickly I'm going to brief him on how we took technology from a regeneration alcove that we repaired on a quarantined planet of Borg that were removed from the
collective.
Thank you, the collective. And mix that with a dermal regenerator and the nanites and reprogram. I'm basically just giving you everything I did.
I will say
kind of walking you through it.
I will say this, Dr. Keel. This is the first you've heard that there is a planet in Klingon space that has been quarantined because there is a colony of former Borg survivors currently trying to build lives for themselves there.
Oh, but it's not secret anymore, right?
That is the first you've ever heard of that.
Well, but also that Klingon intelligence would not disclose the circumstances under which those Klingons encountered a sphere in the first place, which might be of particular interest to Keel.
That's a good point. Yes, the particular interest is you don't know how the hell they would have encountered Borg tech, but apparently, there it is.
Yeah.
We used information from a regenerative alcove that we repaired, just on a typical Tuesday, with our dermal regenerators, and used I did what the captain would do and medically MacGyvered all kinds of stuff and spent months rolling really well.
So he's everything's healed. It's just that the neural pathways have not been restored, or the data is just missing and is in the chip, and the chip's holding all the data.
Yeah, so the data basically deteriorated his brain, especially it messed with his memory lobes and different sections of his brain. The nanites have repaired most of that tissue, but there's just nothing that's the chip. We need the exact what's the word I'm looking for? The spikes
basically
of the chip.
Looking for a bridge to try to access the neural pathways that have been wrecked. Hopefully that gives us easy access to extant memories, because we don't have the chip as the sort of airplane black box to fall back on. But by having this chip in the dead Romulan, we'll see, this is how it interfaces, therefore this is how we can bridge.
Thank you, Sam. This may come as a surprise, but I'm not actually a doctor. I just play one on Twitch, so, it's crazy, I know.
Don't we all?
But,
It's much easier when you can just say, I'm a cleric, I pray, bam, you're healed.
Yeah.
Okay. Running, the two of you basically begin to confer, sharing medical knowledge and whatnot. I'll give you this, Keel. This medical doctor, this Cation, is quite knowledgeable for her field and a benefit. And you actually find the conversation to be quite stimulating as the two of you begin to propose ideas.
It's been a while.
Yeah. Because of time constraints, we're going to just have this be a straight up roll, but I'm going to set the difficulty at 5.
All right.
So, which is max difficulty, at least on the scale that we normally play at. So the way this is going to work is one of you is going to make this roll. This is going to be the check as you conduct the surgery to basically you're not necessarily, if I remember correctly, you're not putting the chip back in his brain, but you're trying to mimic the energy patterns of the chip to restore the neural pathways, which were degenerated by the same energy pattern. You're trying to reverse engineer the effect that this chip, which is supposed to be essentially a dead man chip, you're trying to reverse engineer the damage it does to restore it in memory. So this is some pretty experimental tech. So both of you have focuses that are going to come into play here on that.
I think my you said I don't know.
This is experimental medicine. What you're trying to do has never been done before. If I remember correctly, you have quick study as well.
That's what I was going to say. That this is definitely an unfamiliar medical procedure that would ignore any difficulty increases that you would play onto that. So. And
yeah, I threw it up to 5, but I can't really increase it beyond that.
Yeah.
While we do that, may I ask that Lacat take the most thorough scan in the history of quantum level scans of the chip, because we were originally going for schematics, because we're trying to ultimately fabricate a version of this chip that doesn't melt brains. That means that Lacat's up to bat on getting just a full scan, the scanniest of scans.
So you can use Diane for that.
But I think I would have to use Keel's equipment, right? Because we came without our tricorders.
Yeah, I was just saying you can use Diane for that.
Great, perfect.
So you're going to get an assist from Diane.
Diane, may I have your assistance?
Yes, Lieutenant Lacat.
So, oh my god, I just blanked. Sam, what exactly do you need me to do?
Full scan, so basically we'll have schematics of the OG chip that then when we're back on the Ross later, we can figure out how to do the 2.0.
Cool. In that case...
who knows how they're going to hack this thing to pieces, we want to get a full clean one before they get to work.
Dan, I'm sure you are capable of scanning things. As you so wonderfully scanned us when we entered.
That is correct, Lieutenant.
Can I have your assistance in scanning this chip?
Yes, Lieutenant.
And so I'd like to go ahead and roll for that.
Reason science.
Can I assist here with experimental technology?
I like you, Diane. You are a lot kinder. then different.
Can I do this from the control engineering side, do you think?
Yes, if you're saying that you're monitoring like the scan that Diane is doing, as well as helping sort of like...
I'm making sure that the scan that we're getting will give us the kind of schematics that tech will want later.
Okay. Totally cool. Yeah, go ahead.
That's another one for me.
Is there any way, so I'm going to be rolling Reason Science, right? Is that cool with you, Eric? And can I use my xenobiology focus to basically look, because this was a piece of biological tech?
No, actually, xenobiology would not come into play here. This is literally a cybernetic chip that you were trying to get a detailed scan of.
What
this
about
has nothing
sensors
to do with alienology. What's that?
Sensors for a scan?
Sensors would definitely work.
Okay. Yeah, cool.
I'm going to set the difficulty for this at 4, but what I'm going to go ahead and do is initiate that. Since Diane is helping you, it's functioning like a tricorder, so I'll reduce the difficulty down to 3.
Great. And in that case, I have 3 successes if I can use my sensors focus.
Yeah. What'd you get, Sam? 1, so 4 total. So you get so first of all, the scan that Diane begins to initiate with your help and Captain Saul's help, you begin to get such a detailed scan that it's actually going to take about the same length as the surgery. It is going down to the molecular level and beginning to scan as it's going through. And you guys are seeing, oh my God, you had almost nothing back on board the Ross. You thought you had about 50% of this chip. You had nothing, because as you're scanning through this, you're able to like see the holes of how much it was destroyed itself and how much damage this probably wreaks upon the brain of an operative.
Oh good, there was a point to all of this.
You also know that the stasis field that this Romulan has been kept in and the condition that this Romulan is in is deteriorating. So even this chip is actually in a state of advanced decay, but it's being kept at bay specifically because of the tech that's used, but nothing is going to stop this Romulan's brain from being destroyed by this procedure. However, he's not really using it anymore. So, now we're going to have you guys roll. So the difficulty is 5. So Tal, Keel's going to be using his control medicine check. Mm-hmm. You get an auto success for using control.
Can I add a focus to this, or?
Yes.
That's a cybernetics, I think would be the correct.
Yep.
So, does that? I'm trying to remember how this works. So that's a.
Sam, did you just figure this out?
Oh no, it's just impressive that you did it twice on Reason.
Oh yeah,
and control.
Reason and control. Yes.
Yeah. No, I see it and I appreciate it. And.
So, what does the focus give me? Does my attribute discipline is at 17.
17. So, okay. So what your focus does is, you see how you have a medicine of 5?
Mm-hmm.
Normally you would get a critical hit if you rolled a 1, but since your focus is in play, you get a critical hit if you roll 5 or lower.
Okay. So two d20s.
2d20, unless you guys want to purchase dice using momentum, which you can do. Tal's never done that before, so you'll have to... You got 4 momentum?
Get up to 2... Oh, wait. Did we net any from the check we just did?
Yeah, we got 1 from Lacat, so now we're down. If he takes 1, we'll be down to 3.
Cool. Well, then he can.
And then I was also planning on taking 1 for my roll.
Okay, then we'll give both of you 1. Great.
So, real quick though, Tal, keep in mind, because of the delicacy of this procedure and the trait that's giving you the auto success, you also have an increased complication range by 1.
Oh, so I won't take a spare die.
You should probably take a spare die, because you're going to be, because a 19 or 20 is going to be a complication, but you also enhance your ability to succeed. You can also call upon your value to get an automatic critical success here. So you can pick a value here if you want that you think would apply to this moment.
I think that there's always a solution, definitely.
Yeah, there's always a solution to apply. Okay, so you've automatically got 2 critical successes.
All right. Damn. All right, here we go.
All right, so you got 2 successes
and 3 dice.
Okay, go ahead and make your roll.
That is an 18, a 17, and a 3.
So 4 successes total, but 2 complications?
No.
1
complication. Extraordinary attribute.
1.
Oh, that's straight.
You got an 18 and a 17. You missed it by
Got close, but no complications.
I had just remembered to spin threat. You would have nailed a complication on that.
I hate to be that guy. Doesn't extraordinary attribute expand the complication range by 2?
Just
No,
one.
So
by
18
one.
would hit? Only
Nope,
by 1?
it's not extraordinary attribute. He's augmented.
I'm augmented.
He's an augmented human.
Got it.
Oh, he's.
I wouldn't do anything to
special.
anybody that I wouldn't do to myself.
This is out of character, so nobody is aware of this. But Taliesin is genetically augmented. He is a
Wow.
legal
Yeah,
human
augmented
being.
gives the... Anyway.
Yeah, if I figure
If you
something
wanna
out,
put
I
it at
try it out
one.
on myself.
He
So-
does augment to both reason and control. So he is,
Hard drive.
yeah. and so that this out of character, watching the medical procedure, and even you, McCrell, the control, the finesse, the genius is stunning. Watching him work is like watching a conductor. It's watching art. The way he handles himself, the anticipation of an event, and to stay ahead of it, the way he conducts himself in surgery that should take 6 hours at least takes 1 hour, and you watch it unfold in front of you. And McCrell, at first, you're starting to feel like you're more of an assist here. You're more of just like, you're his nurse trying to help him like complete this task. There's a bit of frustration that you want to be a little more involved in what's going on, considering your experience. But before long, you find yourself feeling like an audience member watching this surgery unfold. You have a wide spread of skill sets that make you vital to the USS Ross. This is somebody whose brilliant mind has been honed to do exactly what he's doing right now and do it better than anything.
I'm a little jealous, but impressed.
Thank you. You did a very good job of making these roads very smooth.
Oh, did I say that out loud? Shit.
Don't worry,
Yes,
I
I mean, you did okay. You did okay.
I don't need my ears or my mouth for this, so there's no problem. I'm always happy to talk.
As the procedure begins to wrap up, the dermal regenerator, the cranial regenerator, everything, the bone, he's going to experience mild, dull headache as somebody who just had surgery on their brain. But for the most part, for a back alley doctor with subpar medical tools, he conducts a surgery that would probably have been filmed and watched over and over at Starfleet Medical for years to come. And when he's done, he sets down the laser scalpel like he just finished playing a video game. Looking up at the screen, you see all the life support systems are completely operational. It was another successful surgery. And Diane even says as much. Subject is stable, Doctor. We'll be awakening in just moments.
Excellent.
Congratulations.
McCrell's gonna replay back later. For just sit back with a cup of tea later and just be like, yeah, that's awesome.
Thank you, Doctor. That was extraordinary.
Thank you. It's tools of the trade. And believe me, I got plenty out of it.
Glad to be helpful.
I'm gonna look at Dr. Keel and be like, I still don't trust you, but I like you a little more.
Thank you. I don't need to be trusted. Oh, God, that reminds me. Wow. I'm going to do a quick data scan about Tachyon Vulcan.
Are you scanning for chronotons?
Chronotons, and also see if there's anything in the file about it, any Vulcan agents in the area. If I'm being
a chronoton scan from Diane being much more thorough than the one back at the base, you detect a small pocket of chronoton particles inside the case of medical supplies.
I feel like I've been bought off.
We were.
No, I'm perfectly happy to be bought off. You, I would worry about.
If you happen to find out any more about it,
It's
you have my number.
with the
No,
thorough
but
scan, with a thorough scan, just to be completely clear, with a thorough scan from Diane, it's coming from an object inside the medical case.
I'm gonna just start rummaging and find it.
You start pulling it out. You see a Federation data pad at the very bottom of the case. Looks modern. You snatch it up.
I'm just gonna do a quick data pull off of it, and then is there any who is this for?
You don't know, but the moment you pick it up and the screen activates and begins to display the data on it, you get the impression it's probably meant for the people surrounding you. Because what you see is course setting and coordinates to an uncharted wormhole. You see the data readout begin to appear in the upper right-hand corner. And the most extraordinary thing, Dr. Keel, you're kind of watching this data readout begin to unfold. There is a wormhole that is never been charted and is scheduled to appear in the next 2 days, about 6 hours from Nimbus 3. And its arrival point is near a particle fountain that has only recently been charted in Shackleton.
This is obviously for you.
We are being played like puppets. I suppose we're off to go find the tune we're dancing to.
So the wormhole is in space that has been charted. In other words, you're being told that in 3 days, a wormhole that has never existed before is going to appear, as they sometimes do, and it will be stable enough to use once before it collapses again.
Oh, Lieutenant, I'm so sorry. Time is so very, very haunted.
I have come to accept that, Captain.
You hear the harsh whisper of a Romulan coming around. And the wheezed, incredulous laugh of Sorex, who just... and he motions you closer.
Well, he's laughing. That must be a good sign.
I have snickerdoodles ready. For no
Okay.
reason. I didn't
You
even
lean
think
in.
he liked them, but apparently he does.
Captain, you lean in, and he just goes... You see this sardonic smile on his face. And the harsh whisper of the word, Father. And that is where we are leaving tonight's episode.
Damn you, Campbell!
Damn!
This was so much fun.
Hey, Tal, thanks for playing with us tonight.
Yeah.
Oh man, thank you. That was fun.
Thank you for
man.
helping fix our secret agent's brain.
That was a good time. No, it was great.
Thank you for playing our illegal augmented Section 31 on the run backwater.
Literally, like every red flag of Starfleet you have. Like,
There are new flags being sewn by Diane in the back just to have more red flags.
It's a tent made of red flags. It's just taking shelter within a tent of red flags.
It wasn't Burning Man, but it was still fun to play with you.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. Everybody who tuned in tonight, thank you so much for joining us for another episode of Clear Skies as we continue to dive deep into the fun, whimsical world of Star Trek. We hope you guys have a lovely Star Trek day tomorrow. I highly encourage watching some of the original movies. Those things are awesome. We will catch you guys next Monday for the journey of the USS Ross, where we will see Captain Exio, the holographic Captain Gina DeVivo, who is going to be facing down a cloaked Romulan warbird. Who knows? Will our crew make it back in time? We will see. We will see. I'm going to tell Gina to read up on ship combat either way. All the sympathy, the look of sympathy on Sam's face. We love you guys so much. Thank you for joining us and for supporting the Stream Punks. We will catch you next Monday night. Until then, hailing frequencies are closed.